Hey guys, we are live.
Hello, everyone.
Welcome back to Brent Adventure. Everyone grab a drink, get comfortable, and jump into the chat. Let us know that
Yes.
you're here. We've got Mario. Say hi, Mario.
Hey, guys. Thank you for being here. Let us know if you can hear us.
Yeah, let us know if you can hear us. It's always the first question.
Yes. But thank you guys for
to make sure you guys can hear us.
Yeah, thank you guys for being here.
So David Young, Gizmo, let us know if you can hear us all right.
Yes.
It helps us out a ton. So thank you guys for being here.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to be talking about, so grab a drink, get relaxed. Can you guys hear us? Leave a comment if you can hear us. I'm confused. I thought it was about nobody dates anymore. David Young, we were going to do that, but I was like, it's such a dark topic. Here, says John Scott. It was such a dark topic. I was like, let's do that like not on a Friday night. But I do want to talk about that topic. But I think it's just a little bit like, I don't have like an answer, let's say. So I feel like this is much more fun and conversational. And I think it's also something that people desperately want, which is dark fantasy.
Yeah.
So you guys let us know if our audio is equalized. It helps us out a ton as we're launching this channel.
Yes.
All right. So get comfortable, grab a drink, get into chat. Let us know where you're watching from, because tonight we're going on a very different kind of journey. If you grew up watching movies in the 80s or 90s, you probably have that one specific memory. You rented a VHS, your parents took you to the theater to see a kid's fantasy movie, and it absolutely terrified you. I'm talking about the golden age of dark fantasy movies. We're talking about rotting Skeksis in the Dark Crystal. And I'll pull that up so you can see that. But The Dark Crystal was a really big movie from my childhood. We're talking about David Bowie and Labyrinth, the Horned King in Disney's The Black Cauldron, and the terrifying realism of 80s fantasy cinema. Today, we're diving deep into the history of dark fantasy. We're going to explore what exactly makes a movie dark fantasy, where high fantasy world building collides. Thank you, Michael McSilvers. Wow. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Wow. Michael, I hope that you like this topic.
Thank you, Michael.
I think the dating topic is really interesting as well, but I feel like this is more fun and I can have more references. Thank you, Michael McSilvers.
Thank you so much. He just said,
you're amazing.
He just said, I'm literally about to start a butterfly painting class.
Oh, that's awesome.
Outrageous. I will miss this whole show. Oh, Michael.
Oh, that's all right. You can watch it later, but thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael McSilvers. Seriously, I appreciate you so much. All right, so let us know. We're going to figure out this dual screen thing, but we appreciate you guys being here. He says outrage. Thank you.
You can always rewatch, Michael. But
you can always rewatch. Like, here's your first image if you're curious. Here's this is from Labyrinth. This is an image from Labyrinth. Really beautiful. So in this image we have David Bowie and we have Jennifer Connelly. Do you know Jennifer Connelly?
Yeah.
She's huge. She's so good at what she does. But this is a perfect example of dark fantasy and how Hollywood in many ways is like scared to approach dark fantasy. Thank you, Michael McSilvers, again. I just want to emphasize.
Thank you, Michael, so much.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So much. What a great start.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael.
But a lot of people have vivid memories of being in the theater and watching these kinds of films.
Yeah.
And now it just feels like for some reason or another, they're not making them. So today we're diving into the history of dark fantasy. So when I say dark fantasy, what do you think I'm talking about, Mario? Because this is probably kind of new for you.
I actually was going to say that I hadn't realized this until now that you mentioned it, like the fact that Hollywood is now not making as many movies, dark fantasy movies, as they were used to.
Right.
But for me, it's kind of like the title says, like the idea of portraying fantasy from a gloomier perspective, probably more adult focused, because
I think it can feel adult focused. I think I'll break it down here in a second, because a lot of it has to do with like stuff that's actually you're seeing on screen. It's not this new CGI wave of like it's not like the marvelization of they're not horror films, right? No. But I'll break it down for you. So movies that exemplify are like the Dark Crystal, the Black Cauldron from Disney.
Yeah.
and like Labyrinth. So today we're going to be talking about that and why the high fantasy world building collides head on with horror, and we're going to answer the biggest question: why did Hollywood studios completely stop making them? So we're going to break down the timeline from Jim Henson. Do you know who Jim Henson is?
No.
He's like a puppet master. So he made a lot of puppetry, and so he's super duper famous. Like he is like the king of puppets in film. So the timeline from Jim Henson practical effects era right up through to the modern Gothic mastery of directors like Guillermo del Toro. You could argue that Guillermo del Toro is still in that dark fantasy because Pan's Labyrinth is an example of dark fantasy.
Yeah.
But again, that was from 2009. So that was, time flies.
Yeah, that was being a gap there.
Exactly. Did they make an announcement? You guys are mentioning the World Trade Center. Are they making a second World Trade Center? Are they making like another building?
Let us know, guys.
Yeah, let us know, Gizmo. Hey, VT Hookah, how are you? If you guys are just now joining us, this is very interactive. So you guys participate in the chat. It's really fun. But we're going to break down from Jim Henson to today's Guillermo del Toro and Tim Burton. Tim Burton is another example of, so there's not as much of it. That's why it's such an event to have Beetlejuice. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So, and because what we witnessed during at least my lifetime was like the death of like the practical magic. So when I say practical magic, what do you think I'm referring to? Like the practical magic.
The idea of using like real life objects to create like special effects, maybe, because now we rely so much on VFX.
There's like a heavy emphasis on like CGI. Yeah. Versus like the practical, effects.
Yeah, like puppets.
Like even in Star Wars, there was like Yoda.
Oh yeah. And then he was even replaced later, like fully.
There's still the puppet, I think, but in general, it's like it feels like it's a stretch to go back to this era, right? Yeah. So it's interesting. Gizmo said that changing the world who is built prevent from what happening. Not sure how. Is it changing who builds it will prevent ones? I don't know what y'all are talking about. I've not seen have you seen anything in the news today about them building another building? No. Well, this is news to us. Well, thank you guys for letting us know the breaking news. But we witnessed the death of like this practical magic. And one of the examples of that is just last night I watched actually two movies as I was going to bed. I watched Finding Neverland with Johnny Depp and Kate Winslet, an amazing film. And then I watched Masters of the Universe. And Masters of the Universe is like a classic example of like the over CGI movie that just doesn't have like a soul. And I don't really blame them for the way they made it, but the movie was like very meta and very self-aware, but like in the worst ways. It was like it was making fun of its source material. And one of the hallmarks of dark fantasy is that it takes itself seriously. Yes. Like dark fantasy takes itself seriously. It's not poking fun at the source material. Like Pan's Labyrinth is very serious. It doesn't mean it has to be scary, but it's not, poking fun at what it's doing and like winking at the audience.
Right, because you create like your own reality within a film.
Hey, AG Play, how's it going?
Hey, hello.
If you guys are new here, leave a comment. That we do these live because we love people to interact. And I know that this is a genre of film that people actually really love and people want more of. Yeah. So like here on screen is another image from Labyrinth. Labyrinth, again, is your classic dark fantasy. And the height of dark fantasy, many people argue that it was the 80s. So the industry pipeline shifted from animatronics, puppetry, and physical creature makeup over to green screens and CGI. So the DNA of fantasy changed. The studio started chasing massive billion-dollar 4-quadrant superhero franchises, and they traded in the gritty, atmospheric, and genuinely scary dark fantasy films for safer, sterile, family-friendly IP. But the genre isn't entirely dead. And tonight, I put together a master list. So we're going to walk through the 100 top dark fantasy films of all time. Hopefully we'll get through all of them. I'll be quick. But looking at both live action and animation and breaking down why these films left such a massive cultural footprint. So we're going to first look at Labyrinth here. So welcome to new people.
Yeah,
How is Jimmy
welcome.
doing? Jimmy's doing great. He's in Galveston, Texas. He's having a great time, so he's having fun. So we're exploring stuff that maybe he might be interested in. I don't know. Do you think he'd be interested in this topic?
I think if he watches the movies, I think he will. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's actually seen Labyrinth. That's the good thing. He's seen
Nice.
this one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Oh, that's nice. I haven't seen this one.
Yeah, Labyrinth is like super like height of dark fantasy.
Mm,
There was also like very playful aspects to it as well. So like there's this scene right now with all these puppets around Jennifer Connelly, and this happens near the end of the film
oh,
because it's actually a musical as well. So David Bowie is obviously a very famous musician,
yeah.
and so he participated in. He's like the star of this film, along with here's Jim Henson right here. Here's like a behind the scenes picture.
Yeah, it looks very colorful, like very
Very colorful, very
beautiful,
like
stunning,
practical.
stunning. Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful makeup
Yeah.
that's used. Really cool. So that's what we kind of feel like the loss of is like the gritty atmospheric and like genuinely dark and scary, dark fantasy films. And now everything feels like it's comes out of a computer. So it just feels a little bit too sanitized. But the genre isn't entirely dead. But before we put together all of the visual cues, I want to see the chat light up. Let me know where you're watching from tonight. I want you to drop your favorite dark fantasy movie down below. What was the movie that gave you nightmares before you, but you couldn't stop watching it? Was it Return to Oz? Pan's Labyrinth? Let me know. Have you heard of Return to Oz?
I've heard of it. I haven't watched it. But is this movie Labyrinth from the 80s as well?
It is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And the movie Return to Oz is from 1985. And I'll pull up an image of that. Return to Oz is one of my favorite, movies as a kid. Yeah. But looking even at the time, I knew it was like really, really dark. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because like as a kid, dark. You kind of realized, right? Like it kind of gives you the feeling of that you're watching something that's like stunning.
Well, and also it's like it feels dangerous as a kid. Yeah, it's like you're watching something and it kind of makes it more interesting. So here's the cover of Return to Oz, and an all new live action fantasy film with a Disney adventure and magic. But this movie is genuinely dark. Like so many people reference this film as having like nightmare fuel. And nightmare fuel is like, whenever you see, have you heard of that nightmare fuel?
Yeah.
So it's like there are these characters in Return to Oz. They're called the Wheelers. I'm gonna pull up a picture because they're so scary that people like have nightmares to this day.
I feel like that's also a very 80s, 90s thing because nowadays you also don't see creatures, those type of creatures as much. We typically see more sanitized creatures, as you said, even for films like Star Wars.
Right.
For example, that little version of Yoda, which I know is not Yoda, but even those feel a little bit more appealing to the general public, whereas here is more, dark, as the title says. So,
right.
It definitely feels like it's something that we're also. I don't know if we're missing it. I'm sure there are movies that play with this idea. But maybe they're doing it from horror as well, right? Like not necessarily from dark fantasy, which isn't.
Yeah. Well, in terms of like dark fantasy, it's like here's an image from Return to Oz. This is one of the Wheelers. So the Wheelers are these characters that are like super spooky. But they go around Oz because Oz has been like taken over by this evil queen. And like there's literally a scene where she changes heads. Like she changes what her head is. So it's such a different Oz from what we see in the first film. But so the first Wizard of Oz had some dark aspects to it, but overall it's a bright film.
Yes.
It's much more, let's say, family friendly.
Yeah.
Whereas like Return to Oz was kind of marketed as being more family friendly, but actually was very, very dark. And so it's interesting because I'd be curious to know in the chat, like what if people really miss miss dark fantasy.
Because I know even this idea of discomfort while watching a film, maybe as a kid, or the memories we have of films as kids, can also play like a key component on us searching for that feeling again on movies nowadays, and not actually finding it, like not precisely finding a new product that's and not even a resemblance of this. type of creatures, right?
Well, in terms of Return to Oz, I'm going to show another picture that it helps encapsulate. This dark fantasy film. And you guys let me know if there's a film that you want me to cover, and we'll pull it up and we'll discuss it.
Yeah.
But Return to Oz is like a classic example. There's literally even a scene in Return to Oz where they strap her down and give this little child electroshock therapy.
Wow.
And so there's so many strange things that happen. So right now there's some still images from the film here, and it says like, beware the Wheelers. There's a Stone King. There's a little young Dorothy. She goes through and walks through the hall of the Queen's heads. So she literally replaces her heads. It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
Let me know if you see a line that's going through my screen. Do you see it?
No.
Okay. On my screen, there's like a line that's going through my face.
Oh, no, I don't see it here.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I think it's just like, I think it has to do with like where I can place this. I'm still learning this program. So, all right. So AG, yeah, thank you for letting me know. All right, so this here shows, you see the woman holding her head in her hands, and there's like a little child princess. And if anything else, this list is definitely, thank you Gizmo for letting me know. This list is definitely like, I'm recommending these movies. So if I'm bringing them up, I'm recommending them. Unless I distinctively say no, I'm recommending Return to Oz. But it's definitely nightmare fuel for sure. But like in some ways in the best way, because it's so incredibly imaginative. And there's so many articles that are like, why Return to Oz is terrifying. And and I think that's also like why they stopped making them, is because essentially it just became too risky for the studios.
I think that's interesting, because they weren't actually trying to, maybe they weren't actually trying to scare people, but just by the nature of production design and everything, they came out to be.
There's like a Tinker robot here.
Yeah.
The pumpkin head. You see all these different kind of interesting things. I think on some level, maybe they were trying to scare us, but that was like part of the point.
Yeah.
And like Oz is like this magical land, but like what happens if Dorothy leaves Oz, like, and things go bad?
Yeah.
Right. AG, the Dark Crystal, 100%. The Dark Crystal is your perfect classic example of dark fantasy as well. But everywhere you look right now, what's happening is that people are, I've noticed that on social media, people are uploading AI videos that are created to replicate this era of film.
Okay.
And so many people are reacting, they're writing articles about it. And so they're making comments saying that like, actually, we're yearning for this era of dark fantasy.
Yeah.
And here's an image from the Black Cauldron. The Black Cauldron so there are animated films as well as live action films. So the Black Cauldron, the problem with the Black Cauldron is, and we can actually start here in terms of breaking it down.
Okay, this is Disney's as well, right?
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if
they kind of cornered the market here on like this type of just fantasy content in general. But this is a 1985 animated film, and in the film, the artifact is used by the evil Horned King to raise an army of the dead. The terror ends when the hero's furry friend, which you see here, Gurgi, willingly sacrifices his life by jumping into an indestructible artifact, breaking its power, destroying the undead, and consuming the Horned King. So the Black Cauldron was like very, very dark, considering it's a children's movie. But this is what the 80s was about. For some reason, it's like these movies, they were making these movies. And I think it may have been some kind of psychological response to something. Yeah. You guys let me know in the chat. I'd be really curious if to know if people have, like if they have like a theory as to why in the 80s we saw the height of this. I personally love it, but I think it's a mix of nostalgia as well as like really appreciating it, because all of this source material, even though it was dark, like we took it seriously.
Yeah.
And I think you could even go as far as like the early 2000s, and like people have watched, let's say, the original Lord of the Rings trilogy like a million times, but they've only seen like the Hobbit movies like maybe once or twice, because the Hobbit movies are so CGI heavy, and there's something that felt just genuinely more earnest about those early 2000s films. And the same thing could be said for Star Wars,
right?
Because Star Wars heavily relied on puppetry. With Yoda, with some other like alien creatures. And Jabba the Hutt is a perfect example. Exactly. So in the Black Cauldron, the evil horned king wants the Black Cauldron to resurrect the dead. This is like totally children's material, right?
Yeah.
The hero seeks it first, trading their weapons to the witches of Morva in exchange for the artifact. The Horned King's minions steal the cauldron and use it to summon the Cauldronborn, an undead army meant to conquer the world. The witches reveal the cauldron is indestructible and can only be stopped if someone willingly climbs inside and sacrifices himself. So Gurgi bravely sacrifices himself to destroy the magic, causing the cauldron to self-destruct. Wow. So the reason why this film is such a big deal is because it suffered a really turbulent 12-year production. So it went through 12 years of production. And it was constantly changing directors, animators, including a young Tim Burton, who was the puppet guy, whose designs were rejected in studio infighting. And the financial catastrophe and horrific test screenings led to massive re-editing by the studio, nearly causing Disney to close its animation department altogether. The team went to work in a cheaper warehouse, which lasted until the revival of The Little Mermaid in 1989, which is considered Disney's Renaissance.
Wow.
So that's another reason, is because they just had a series of failures that really caused Disney to like rethink what works and what doesn't work. Has Brent ever talked about the movie The Truman Show? We've talked about it. It's a great topic for sure. It says, horror film, Before I Wake. In the movie, an orphan young boy named Cody has a supernatural ability to make everything he dreamed manifest in real life. I think I've seen that. It's very, very creepy. This is a really good comment by AG Play. All of these were a few years ahead of Dungeons and Dragons. This is definitely like Dungeon and Dragon like energy, right? Because it's so dark. And you could argue that maybe some of the remnants of this is like Stranger Things, which is just now like ended.
Yeah.
But I think that would be a good argument. You could be like Stranger Things as a kind of an example.
But again, we're seeing like the use of CGI instead of practical effects.
Exactly. It says, I think Reagan's challenge to the Soviet Union reignited the Cold War, which what fears were reflected in the 80s films. That's a really, really good point, John Scott. There's a lot of talk about like what kind of films we were watching after certain wars, or because after like World War II, things tended to be like, we still explored movies in the 1950s, right? All those B movies that we covered.
Yeah. I was going to ask you if, is this somehow like related to the B movies, like in the way
I think you could argue, for example, there's a line from Maxine that like has like that's driven like people online crazy. And there's a scene in Maxine, which is that movie, that series with Pearl, Maxine and X.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a scene in Maxine where the director takes Maxine behind the lot and drives her around.
Yeah.
And is telling her like, this is a B movie with A ideas. And it made a lot of people on the internet mad, people who are like really obsessed with cinema, because the reality is that most B movies actually have A ideas, you know, because they're not like, they're using a lot of metaphorical talk versus like a lot of A movies are actually more on the nose. For example, like a B movie might symbolize like, you know, Soviet era fears with UFOs, but an A movie is going to be more direct and on the nose and be like, you're the, you know, the child dies or something happens. It's very like specific. So in a way, B movies, even though they have smaller budgets, are exploring things in a more indirect way. So it's kind of ironic. So it's just interesting. It's like the way we approach things. So you could argue that all those B movies have A ideas in them. Yeah. But what makes a movie a B movie is audience perception, how gimmicky it feels, right? All those different things. So it says, Isaac Asimov's stories has a lot of influence on fantasy movies as well. Very good point. Very good point.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go into our movies here. I'm going to swap out some pictures. So I'm going to tell you about the plot of Return to Oz.
Yeah, and if you have any more recommendations, guys, you can also
let us know.
In the chat. Subscribe as well. Don't forget to like the video.
Right. So I'm going to pull up here so people can see. some images from Return to Oz. So Return to Oz, this is a movie that kind of went overlooked by a lot of people because it just kind of felt inherently dark, which I think scared some people. And again, people who did see the movie got freaked out. And there's so many different explainer videos that are breaking down like what Return to Oz is. And it's not to be confused with some of these lighter things like The Legends of Oz, which was later. The Return to Oz is the 1985 film. So in this film, dun, 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 dun. All right. So in Return to Oz, Dorothy goes back to Oz, but she's actually a little girl. So it serves as an unofficial sequel to the 1939 classic The Wizard of Oz. The plot combines elements from L. Frank Baum's novels The Marvelous Land of Oz and Ozma of Oz, following a young Dorothy Gale as she returns to a devastated dystopian land of Oz. So there are two parts to the movie, or there are actually several, but basically there's trouble in Kansas. So 6 months after returning from her first trip to Oz, Dorothy remains deeply melancholic, suffers from severe insomnia, and cannot stop talking about her magical adventure, which actually makes a lot of sense because think about it. If you actually went to Oz, like how would you explain that to people? You know what I mean? You'd be like, I had this magical, it's like, you're crazy. And that's what happens.
It seems like you're describing a trance or
like they think that she's like gone cuckoo. So deeply worried by her seemingly delusional behavior and struggling to rebuild their tornado ravaged farm, Aunt Em and Uncle Henry take Dorothy to a psychiatric clinic managed by Dr. Worley. Dr. Worley proposes that Dorothy's delusions about treating them with electroshock therapy using new electrical machines. Just as Dorothy is strapped down for her first treatment, a violent thunderstorm knocks out the clinic's electricity. In the darkness, a mysterious blonde girl appears, frees Dorothy, and helps her escape into the storm. Pursued by the clinic's strict head nurse, Nurse Wilson, the girls run to a nearby river and fall into the raging rapids. Dorothy manages to climb inside a floating wooden chicken coop, but she helplessly watches as her rescuer slips beneath the water and seemingly drowns. So the movie really starts off like super dark.
Yeah, it sounds that way.
Yeah.
Hello, Mark Sands.
Hello, how's it going? Did you watch Return to Oz, Mark Sands?
Let us know, guys, if you have watched these movies and what are your thoughts on them. Yeah, I think they are also, I mean, for example, Disney. We were covering Disney before this one, a little bit of Disney. So I do remember like that these films, like earlier Disney films, also tackle on more risky topics like themes and ideas that nowadays feel. I'm also kind of relating it to a topic that we've covered before too, which is movies that wouldn't be made today.
Absolutely, these are movies, and that's like kind of the ultimate point.
Yeah.
So here. This is an image of the little girl who drowns because this little girl magically appears whenever they're strapping her down. And the whole thing is like this whole movie is like a fever dream. Here's another one. This is her when she arrives in Oz because there's like a floating chicken coop just like randomly floating along the river.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And she climbs into it. Have we mentioned A Clockwork Orange? Not yet, Mark Sands, but we will. It's a good one.
Yes, that's a good one.
Yeah. Brent, what's the oldest movie you have ever seen? Like, what was the date the movie was made? Oh gosh. I mean Battleship Potemkin, is that, I mean, that like the oldest movie, some of the oldest stuff ever filmed, I've seen. Like one of the first things ever filmed was like two men dancing. They were just like testing the camera out.
Yeah.
So I've seen like stuff that's like way, way old.
I guess it depends on what you consider a movie, right? Because
exactly.
Before there were just like slices of life as well.
Exactly. Like there'd just be like a guy flexing, you know, or things that were just like inherently like spectacle, let's say.
Or this famous recording of workers living at the factory.
Exactly.
But
so here's a picture of Dorothy and one of the Wheelers. So going back to the film and breaking it down.
Thank you, Vitihuka, for your comments. Yeah.
Thank you. I love watching the whole movie historic live stream, and Mario, you're doing great with Brent. Thank you, Vitihuka. I appreciate that so much. Seriously. Thank you.
Your comments very much.
Very, very much. Okay. So Part one, there's trouble in Kansas. So they think Dorothy's crazy, right? They think she's crazy. They tie her down. They take her to a psychiatric center. They're about to give her electroshock therapy. And then she escapes. And she escapes by this mystery girl who just appears out of nowhere and takes her to the river. But then the girl seemingly drowns. Little Dorothy climbs into this chicken coop, and then she arrives in Oz. So here's where the girl drowns. Here's where she arrives in Oz. But she arrives into a ruined land. The next morning, Dorothy awakens to find that the chicken coop has floated across the deadly desert and into the outskirts of the land of Oz. Accompanying her is Billina, a hen from the farm who can now speak fluently because they're in a magical realm. So she's with this little chicken called Billina. And you guys let me know in the chat if y'all have seen this movie, because I'm so curious, because so many people remember this because it was so like traumatic.
John Scott said that he just can't watch it. Maybe because of the dark fantasy aspect itself, John.
Yeah, let me know what you mean by I can't watch it. Is it because it's like so like scary, or it feels so real, dark. Or is he saying it's because it's dark?
I mean, not precisely, but let us know, guys.
Yeah, I'm curious because I think this is. Listen, you don't have to watch it. You can just watch this video.
Right.
Here's little Dorothy with her chicken, Billina, and Billina throughout the movie speaks fluently because now that they're in Oz, this chicken that was just randomly in a coop, they're now in the land of Oz. So now that they've crossed the deadly desert and into the outskirts of the land of Oz. Billina is now being able to talk because they're in this magical land. Dorothy's initial joy vanishes when she realizes Oz, because remember, she's been to Oz before.
Yeah.
So in Return to Oz, even though she's younger than like the Dorothy Gale that the previous version played by Judy Garland, it still like serves as a sequel. So they're kind of saying like, what if she was even younger? So Dorothy is like excited at first, but then she realizes that Oz has fallen under a dark apocalyptic shadow. The legendary Yellow Brick Road is entirely smashed into rubble. The Emerald City is in ruins and completely deserted, and that's where she sees like Beware the Wheelers. The citizens, including her old friends, the Tin Woodman and the Cowardly Lion, have been turned into stone, and the empty streets are patrolled by the terrifying Wheelers, malicious humanoids who move on all fours with wheels instead of hands and feet. And again, here's the Wheelers. This is like people love this movie, but they like also hate it because it freaks them out.
Just by your description alone, I'm like trying to put the pieces together in my head, like trying to think how they would portray this in film. It feels like very, very interesting. So,
and well, again, it's like very like nightmare fuel because it's like how did this get greenlit? Because it feels like, but at the same time, it's like there's something very like magical about it, I would say. And so I think audiences do want to see dark fantasy. It's just that you know who is that audience, because they're trying to appeal to the widest possible audience, right?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to take down these pictures. Here's the Black Cauldron. So we've covered the Black Cauldron. We've covered Labyrinth. I'm going to take these down. So if you guys haven't seen these movies, go check them out. Go check out Labyrinth. Go check out the Black Cauldron. I've got a little board here. And I can only put 10 pictures at a time, so I got to rotate them. So right now we're on Return to Oz.
Yeah, and again, let us know which movies have you seen, and what are your thoughts on them? We're covering dark fantasy tonight. And the ultimate question for this live is, why are we seeing?
Why have they stopped making dark fantasy altogether? Like, what's the point? Thank you, BT Hookah. Thank you for coming. Don't forget to like the video, guys. All right, so a lot of people have not seen this film, so this is why I'm covering it. But it's from 1985, and these are some productions images from the movie. And as you can tell, like they actually like re-envisioned some of the characters, like the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, like. But there are some, and like the Scarecrow looks more playful here, but then other elements are more terrifying, like the Evil Queen.
Yeah, I mean, even the puppets have also like this look that's very specific, right? That we have said it's like imperfect, you could say,
It's imperfect. It's
but it
not definitely
adds,
decidedly not CGI.
right? It adds to the look of it and
Mm-hmm.
the coherence, even.
Right. So now there's like meeting new friends. So the citizens, including her old friends, the Tin Woodman, the Cowardly Lion, they've been turned to stone. So, and then the Wheelers have taken over the Emerald City. So while fleeing from the aggressive Wheelers, Dorothy locates a hidden keyhole in a wall and unlocks a secret bunker. Inside, she discovers and reactivates TikTok. TikTok is this guy in this picture here. He is like this bumbling type of he's like the Tin Man, but he's like very round.
Okay.
So TikTok, do you see that image?
Yeah.
She's got Belina, the little chicken.
Yeah.
So she reactivates TikTok, a heavy-bellied mechanical clockworker soldier who serves as the Royal Army of Oz. Armed with TikTok's protection, Dorothy confronts the lead Wheeler and forces him to reveal what happened. The tyrannical Gnome King conquered the city, stole the royal emeralds, and took the Scarecrow hostage. Seeking help, the group visits the palace, which is now occupied by the Wicked Witch, Princess Mumby. So this is the witch, and she actually changes heads, which is very spooky.
Oh, wow.
So oddly enough, things like the Smurfs would fall into this category. You're not wrong, AG Play. Like that's kind of the topic too, is like some things are dark fantasy. We just don't realize it. It's like how are we approaching the material?
Yeah, I agree with you, AG Play.
And I think this is a classic example too. Like Return to Oz is like a revisioning of something that maybe was kind of not so dark, and then you can make it a lot darker depending on the angle that you take with it.
Yeah.
So, this Wicked Witch, Princess Mumby, possesses a gruesome collection of 30 interchangeable living human heads that swap out depending on her mood. Envious of Dorothy's youthful appearance, Mumby locks her and Belina in a high palace tower, intending to wait for Dorothy to grow older so that she can steal her head.
Wow.
That's like again nightmare fuel.
Yeah, I mean, as I was saying, the description alone makes it very, very enigmatic, and they really had to, I don't know, justify it. So I wonder how they did it.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'll pull up an image here so you can see. But this stuff like freaks people out. Like it really freaks people out. And I think that's why, was it Mark Sands or John Scott who was saying they can't watch it?
Oh yeah.
I mean, I totally get that. It's totally justifiable to not be able to watch it. Because but I think there is an audience out there that wants to see this kind of stuff. So here's an example of her holding one of her heads. I'll get a higher resolution one here for you guys. There we go. So this is the queen holding one of her heads.
Wow.
I mean, I'm telling you, like this stuff was so spooky, but at the same time, like there was something very magical about it. And I think they were looking for nightmare fuel. They were looking for something that was like going to be truly like terrifying on some level.
Yeah, but at the same time, they also had like this very polished style, right? Like you can see,
it has a very nice aesthetic and style.
Yeah, like you can see the details and the jewelry and the costumes.
This is the queen, and so she locks little Dorothy up in a tower because she wants to wait until she grows a bit older, because she knows like her little young head wouldn't like fit on her body. And there are some similarities between this and the first book in the Narnia series, which is called The Magician's Nephew.
Yeah.
And if you haven't read that book, I highly recommend it. Thank you, Mark Sands. Thank you so much.
Oh my gosh.
Hope Jimmy's having fun. Yes.
Thank you.
And you guys, we're getting better at this too. So I want your input, because I love it when chat helps steer the conversation.
Yes.
But this is so they swap out heads here for the princess, who's taken over the city.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the dressers are cool. Like they have all these things coming out of them.
Like it's a very magical film. It's very like a very daring film. Like, but again, it's like that film. A lot of these films didn't work, which is also the highlighting why we turned away from dark fantasy. But I think that there are different ways to do it. But in the tower where she's locked away, Dorothy meets Jack Pumpkinhead, a fragile
Mm.
creature making sticks with a carved pumpkin with a carved pumpkin head. Jack explains that he was brought to life by a magical powder of life
Mm.
that Mombi keeps in her bedroom. Sneaking out of the tower, Dorothy carefully walks past Mombi's headless, sleeping body to steal the magic powder.
Wow.
Using furniture, palm leaves, a sofa, and the mounted head of a moose-like creature called the Gump. So I have a picture here so you guys can see that. See it. So let's see. There's TikTok and Belina with Dorothy.
Yeah.
There's the Wheeler. There's the pumpkin head in the background here. And then there's the Tin Man and the Scarecrow. So using furniture, palm trees, and a sofa, and the mounted head of a moose-like creature called the Gump, the companions assemble a makeshift flying machine, sprinkle it with powder, and fly away out of Mombi's reach just as the witch wakes up and screams in rage. Like that scene alone is super scary.
Yeah. It does look like that.
Mm-hmm. And you can let me know what chat is saying. I'm going to pull a picture as she flies away.
Yeah. Hey, Kiss of Life. Hello. Thank you for being here. We're covering, and for those who are just joining as well, we're covering dark fantasy and why aren't they making these films nowadays as much?
And some of it may be on some level like self-explanatory because it feels like, why would somebody watch this? Well, I think there's something like there's something about like the terrifying aspect of it that's in some level appealing.
I do think that it's kind of like asking, why do we like horror, for example? So I think there are people who actually enjoy it.
It's like low-key psychological horror.
Yeah. So I think the question can also be answered that way. Like there are some people who have, as you said, like this, like this appetite for it. Even.
Yeah. So here's little Dorothy who's strapped down. This is the beginning of the movie. Wow. And this is right before there's like this huge thunderstorm. Mm-hmm. And the thunderstorm actually takes out the electrical grid. And that's when this little girl appears and takes Dorothy away. And a lot of people say the entire movie is designed to be like a fever dream. Like it's not really happening. It's like highlighting that like, cause the question is like, if you went to Oz in the first movie, like if you came back, wouldn't you be described as like mentally ill?
Yeah. Like Alice in Wonderland almost too.
Exactly. Like what is the real, like what's really, happening here?
Yeah. And I mean, those movies are appealing to me as well. Like Who Framed Roger Rabbit also kind of feels, to me at least, that way.
Absolutely. So here's when Dorothy first gets back to the Emerald City. And so instead of this magical city, you see like the sign, Beware the Wheelers. And like the whole city is like in shambles.
Yeah, well. Like even the set design, like this feels threatening. So
well, it's because it's kind of like destroying like some of the magic of the first film, maybe for some people, and so like for them maybe that was like unacceptable, let's say.
Yeah.
Whereas it's like Sands. Maybe it deserved like some level of reimagining. Thank you, Mark Sands. Thank you
so much, Mark Sands.
I love how like the OG fans are like, oh, Brent's like pushing through. But here I'm going to cycle through these images. So this is where Dorothy is like her magical companion drowns. Mm-hmm. Here's where she arrives in Oz. She's on the outskirts of Oz here. Something that they never touch on in the first film. Mm-hmm. Here's where she's arrives at the Emerald City, which is in shambles. Here's at the beginning of the film where she's strapped down and they're trying to give her electroshock therapy for her delusions. And then whenever she flies away from the evil queen who's ruling the city, there's actually someone like the real guy who's taken over is the Gnome King.
Okay.
And here's the Gnome King, which is again like nightmare fuel.
Yeah.
Let me pull him up.
So can you repeat the year of this movie?
1985. 1985.
It also looks very, modern, like surprisingly modern. Mm-hmm. At least from these stills, I can feel like this has very high.
Yeah, I think they've tried to replicate it to some extent, like some of this aesthetic. Mm-hmm. But here's where she meets the Gnome King.
Wow.
So
this is creepy.
It's very creepy, which is why
Yeah.
like it's full on dark fantasy.
Yeah.
The Gump flies the ragtag group over the deadly desert, but eventually breaks apart. So she's flying on like pieces of furniture, which if people know, like uh, there's some different myths that are kind of in there, but she's flying on this magical piece of furniture that's been put together because they sprinkled it with powder. It's almost kind of like reminiscent of Peter Pan with like the fairy dust. So they eventually breaks apart what they're flying on, causing them to crash directly into a jagged, cavernous domain of the Gnome King. The king, a massive being made of living stone, reveals that he is holding the scarecrow hostage and wearing Dorothy's original ruby slippers. Isn't that wild? Like he's wearing her ruby slippers.
Yeah.
He claims the shoes fell out of the sky when she left Oz and gave him the ultimate power to conquer the Emerald City. So he uses like her shoes as like a way to take over. The gnome proposes a deceptive, nightmarish game. He has transformed the scarecrow into a random knick-knack inside his massive ornament room. He's got this giant room. It's called the ornament room. And this is why people who remember this are gonna be like, oh my gosh, because it feels like this was like a childhood nightmare. It's like, no, we all experienced it together.
No, yeah, I guess even like watching it like at the time, it kind of felt like, as you said, like you were watching something that you weren't necessarily
supposed to watch. Yeah. So I'll show you a picture of his knick-knack room. There are different angles of it.
Yeah. But Gizmo says, like, I never really liked Dorothy. I thought she was kind of precocious. I wouldn't mind seeing Dorothy get the electric shock treatment. That's
hilarious. That's too funny. Thank you, Mark Sands.
Thank you, Mark Sands.
Mark Sands is like, oh, Brent's on the struggle bus. Let me help him out. Thank you, Mark Sands. You're so sweet.
Thank you guys. Yes, you
appreciate you so much
on this channel. So
because this helps us get someone else that we can actually do our thing, because it's hard to be the technician and the storyteller and do all the things. But here is the knick-knack room. And so, so they're in the knick-knack room. So the Gnome King is like, he's transformed the scarecrow into a random knick-knack inside of his massive ornament room. Each member of Dorothy's party gets 3 attempts to touch an object and shout Oz. If they guess correctly, the scarecrow will return to normal, and here he has. If they fail all 3 times, they will permanently become ornaments themselves. So the Gnome King is like a collector of people. Very creepy. Kind of like the princess. The princess was wanting her head. So the whole movie is like just like totally like, you know, twisted. But again, it's like, this is dark fantasy, and there are different ways to do dark fantasy. This is just one way to do it. And I think the reason why this one kind of felt like so like nightmarish is because it is based off of a beloved source material.
Yeah.
So if they fail, if they touch the item and say Oz, but if they all fail, they're going to become ornaments themselves. So one by one, the Gump, which is like the moose head, Jack Pumpkinhead, and TikTok fail their guesses and are turned into stone and glass ornaments. With each failure, the Gnome King grows increasingly flesh and blood human as he absorbs their life force. Scary, right? Like very vampiric. When it's Dorothy's final turn, she accidentally brushes against a green eraser ornament, which transforms back into the scarecrow. Realizing that objects transformed from Oz royalty match their native color, she successfully locates and restores the rest of her friends. So she realizes that the color of the item is related to what it was turned in from. And again, this is another part, is that some of these dark fantasy movies, you have to watch them because it can be hard to just explain in general.
Yeah, because I'm wondering how are they piecing all together, like even just by seeing the stills.
It actually, I mean, it works, but it's just, again, nightmare fuel. Furious at her victory, the Gnome King drops his polite facade and transforms into a towering rock monster. He swallows Jack Pumpkinhead whole and attempts to eat the remaining heroes. Hidden in Dorothy's pocket, Bellina, the chicken, panics and accidentally lays an egg, which falls directly onto the Gnome King's gaping stone mouth. Because eggs are highly toxic to gnomes, the king helplessly cracks apart and crumbles into dust, freeing Jack and leaving the ruby slippers behind. So in the end, she restores the kingdom. So Dorothy puts on the ruby slippers and wishes for the complete restoration of Oz. Instantly, the Emerald City returns to its former golden era glory, and the petrified citizens are restored to life. During the massive victory, thank you, Mark Sands.
Thank you,
Thank
Mark
you so much.
Sands.
During the massive victory celebration, Dorothy looks into the royal mirror and discovers that the mysterious blonde girl from Kansas, the asylum, the girl who drowned, um, is trapped inside the glass. Dorothy pulls her through, revealing her as Princess Ozma. So there actually is a book from L. Frank Baum, which is Ozma of Oz. And so this little girl turns out to be Ozma. Ozma takes her place on the throne, while Billina chooses to stay behind in Oz as a royal companion. Though Ozians invite Dorothy to stay as their queen, she admits she must return to her family in Kansas. Ozma uses the magical slippers to send Dorothy home, promising she can visit whenever she likes. Dorothy wakes up on the riverbank back in Kansas, because remember, she arrived here after the little girl drowned, and she arrives in this chicken coop basket thingamabob. She wakes up on the riverbank back in Kansas, where Toto and Uncle Henry find her safe, to inform her that a bolt of lightning struck the psychiatric clinic during the storm, burning it to the ground. So that means the entire clinic that she was in, that she woke up in, has been burned down.
Wow.
I mean, good for her, because she doesn't have to go there.
I'm sure, yeah.
Right. Dr. Worley perished trying to rescue his electroshock machines, while Nurse Wilson was arrested and locked in a jail wagon. The film ends on Dorothy Gale's newly rebuilt farm, where Dorothy looks into her bedroom mirror and sees Princess Ozma and Billina smiling back at her from through the glass. So she sees the little chicken and the original girl, who turns out to be Ozma, the princess of the real, the true princess / queen of Oz. She sees her and her chicken in the mirror, letting her know that her magical adventures were completely real. So it uses so many practical effects, puppetry, and it developed a really big cult following. So some people people love this movie, or they hate it, or they can't watch it because it's so dark. So that's one movie. And I think one of the hallmarks of dark fantasy too is like just breaking it down. It's not so clean and simple.
Yeah.
Like it has some dark stuff in here, because I think it's exploring a lot of the psyche of the subconscious mind. Like, who is the Gnome King? Who is, like, how does this fit into our psyche?
Yeah, which is ultimately an exploration, right, of our own consciousness and our own maybe fears and what we are drawn to in that way. Which again, I think it's more like an exploration, like a personal exploration. But these movies also feel like that in a way, because I guess the person putting this together was, kind of having fun at the same time, because of the idea of mixing all these elements together and like all these situations together.
Right.
Like he wasn't only referring to the fantastical world, because he was also having like this therapy thing going on, like the human horrors of confronting that psychological reality, which
so because Return to Oz is significantly darker and more surreal than the 1939 musical, because it's important to remember the original film was like a musical and very like light. A lot of film scholars and psychologists and cult fans have spent like decades analyzing this and for like the last 40 years, and like its unsettling symbolism. And on a subconscious level, the film can be interpreted not just as a fantasy adventure, but as a profound psychological allegory about trauma, institutional abuse, and a child's defense mechanisms. Like escaping into the fantasy realm because your world is so dark. And I think, like I had a kind of a twisted childhood, you could say. And so I think these films resonated with me personally, because I'm like, okay, this, even though like the place that she's escaping to is also equally dark, at least it's fantastical. So it's like can be a psychological projection, right?
Exactly.
So it's not, instead of like experiencing something that's horrific, make it fantastical. And then by making it fantastical, and on some level, it's more digestible. Because evil is like truly represented as evil. Whereas in today's world, even back then, that was still the modern world. It's like we've like the institutions that are supposed to protect us are actually like doing more harm. You could argue.
Thank you, Mark Sands.
Thank you, Mark Sands. love Black Mirror because it seems so plausible.
I mean, yesterday we were talking about it.
Black Mirror is so, yeah, it's
definitely very
there's
perceived.
dark fantasy episodes in it for sure.
But what you were saying, I was just gonna add that yeah, it feels like a translation of the psyche, which is why I think it's also important to, I mean, to watch these movies ultimately, because that way you can also understand a little bit about yourself, as I was trying to say.
I think we can project onto films too whatever it is that we need, like whatever it is that we need, like whatever the Wheelers represent.
Yeah,
like we can take that, and it can also like lighten our load, like lighten our burden by putting onto these films. I think there's something that can be healing about some of these darker films, which maybe sounds counterintuitive. But I think some films, like whenever I saw like Longlegs, I think that's so that's straight up horror.
Yeah,
it's designed to be so psychologically uncomfortable. Whereas this film, it's like goes right up to the edge, but it doesn't become full horror.
Right.
So it's still a children's film, and I recommend people go watch it, and then they can come to their own conclusion about what this film means to them.
Yes.
So as we go through, as I remove the pictures from my little pin board here. We'll go to the next movie. But this one got a little bit extra treatment because it's such a powerful film, and it's so like controversial in and of itself.
Yeah. And thank you again, Mark Sands.
Thank you, Mark Sands. Mark Sands, thank you for being there for me. I appreciate it. And Michael McSilvers, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Seriously.
But yeah, I mean, the psychological translation of thoughts or traumas even into movies can be healing in the way you explained, in the way you can also understand like why would this be even traumatizing in the first place. And so I think it's a good way to see yourself in film, maybe, or not yourself, but like the things you like.
Brent, who would you be in The Wizard of Oz? Says David Young. Oh God, the original Wizard of Oz. I don't know. Maybe I'd be like the Great and Powerful Oz.
I think they had assigned those like characters from the Wizard of Oz earlier.
At one point they did. I think I may have been Toto. Oh no, I was Dorothy. I literally was Dorothy.
And then I
think Dag Overhaul or David, somebody made a picture, and I guess I would be Dorothy. Because I think I have this naivete about me, but at the same time, it's like I'm willing to go on the adventure.
Yeah.
But I think it's kind of funny because she's like, this whole time you could have just clicked your heels and said, there's no place like home. And I think this room here, the gnome's object room, is also symbolic of like your memories and like where you put all your memories and like where did they become calcified and no longer like living things.
Yeah.
Right. So, just to give a quick recap, the prominent theory is that Dorothy's second trip to Oz is a psychological coping mechanism, a subconscious projection created by her mind to process the severe trauma of her reality in Kansas. So the asylum as the real villain. The film heavily mirrors characters from Kansas to Oz, a trope between the 1939 film, but used with darker intensity here. So like Dr. Worley, he actually is the Gnome King. So like you see characters, just like how from the original movie, like there are some characters that have parallels in Kansas.
Yeah.
The Gnome King is a doctor who ends up dying in the institution after the electrical storm. Both are authority figures who seek to strip Oz and Dorothy of identity, memories, and color, turning things into gray stone. And Nurse Wilson, the nurse from the hospital who chases her to the river, that actually is Princess Mombi. She's a woman who changes her heads.
Okay.
So she's like, a figure of authority who seeks to strip. She's cold and tyrannical and obsessed with the physical appearance and control. So Nurse Wilson locks Dorothy away and Mombi locks her in a tower. So there's like some parallels. That's why it's like, is this a psychological allegory? And Dr. Worley's terrifying electrical machine, Ruby, was what he calls it, kind of like the Ruby slippers. It features two glowing red lights. In Oz, these two red lights literally become the Ruby slippers and the Gnome King's feet. So the interchangeable heads of Princess Mombi symbolize the shifting, detached faces of institutional doctors and nurses who treat patients like objects, and the escape into disassociation. So the storm and the river repeatedly represent Dorothy's mind completely disassociating to escape the impending trauma of electroshock therapy. The burning down of the clinic at the end represents the ultimate destruction of the institutional threat, allowing Dorothy to integrate back into her normal life. So mental health, silencing children, like totalitarianism versus childhood innocence, like the fragmentation of the self.
Mm-hmm.
Like the characters, when you watch it, you'll be like, oh wow, like this really is such a nightmare feel.
No, yeah, I already kind of feel that way.
Yeah. Just from the images you get a sense of it, and that's something about these stills from these images. It's like you can't really duplicate them.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
totally, John Scott, 100%. Like the shock therapy is super cray.
And I think it's I think it's no surprise that many of these films take a lot of inspiration from the psyche, from like the trauma aspect of life, and the idea of how to deal with them, like on a personal level, but also, like in the situation you're being put into, because we see like these interactions with the traumatic event, and then the protagonist that has to somehow navigate it, which is I think it's interesting. I think I'm seeing that as a thing on many of these films as well.
Absolutely. All right, so the next movie we're going to talk about is Legend, and this actually is a film that has Tom Cruise. It's one of his earlier films, and it's from the exact same year. It's from 1985, and a lot of people have seen this film. I'd be curious to know if who in the chat has seen Legend. If you have, let me know. Yeah. I'm really curious to know what your thoughts are. So here's the original cover of Legend. And there's like this really dark red, like demonic kind of king. And here they are like inside of like a crystal, and that's like Spanish is leyenda, so for like a foreign poster. And here's some cover art here, or some production stills from Legend.
Wow.
Now, have you heard of this film at all?
No.
Okay.
Wow.
So this is another film that's dark fantasy. So it's a 1985 dark fantasy film directed by Ridley Scott, of all people. So this is Ridley Scott, starring a young Tom Cruise and Mia Sara in her film debut, and Tim Curry's in it. Tim Curry is like the demon guy.
Oh, yeah, just got mentioned that.
Yeah. So AG Play says he saw it. So known for its stunning visual design, the film initially struggled at the box office, but has since earned a massive cult following. The plot functions as a traditional yet visually dark fairy tale. The Lord of Darkness plots to plunge the world into eternal night by slaughtering the world's last remaining unicorns. The princess Lily inadvertently exposes unicorns to the darkness's goblin minions by breaking a sacred rule and touching one. After the stallion unicorn is captured and winter freezes the land, a forest-dwelling youth named Jack, who's Tom Cruise, must team up with elves and fairies to rescue Lily and save the world. So it's like very feels like a classic hero's journey, like from fantasy,
in that way,
but it's very dark visually.
Wow.
So Ridley Scott drew heavily his inspiration from European fairy tales like Beauty and the Beast. The movie was filmed almost entirely on indoor sets at Pinewood Studios. That's where all the major studios film the Marvel films now, is in Pinewood Studios in the UK. A massive forest set was constructed completely from scratch, but famously burned down towards the end of production. Tim Curry's transformation into the darkness required 6 hours of prosthetic makeup every. Can you imagine that? Yeah. 6 hours of makeup. I think that might drive you crazy.
Yeah, I think Jacob already had to do something similar on this latest
Frankenstein from Guillermo del Toro. Yeah,
but it's crazy. I mean,
there was a European director's cut, and it features a lush traditional orchestral score by Jerry Goldsmith. And fearing the orchestral music wouldn't appeal to the American teens, the studio replaced it with a modern electronic synth score by Tangerine Dream. So the US version and the European version, they had different scores. Which is interesting.
Yeah.
But it did win an Academy Award for Best Makeup, which makes sense for Tim Curry's character, which is the red demon.
Wow.
Yeah, but on its initial release, Legend was a financial disappointment. Critics felt it prioritized style over substance, and American audiences were confused by the marketing that disguised a dark fairy tale as a standard action movie. So they actually pushed it kind of as an action film. and it premiered right before Tom Cruise's career went into overdrive with Top Gun. So it came out like right before then. So
Wow.
I think that's also like he took that as an example to like pick action over fantasy, right? Which
That
makes
might have
sense
been
because his whole career is you know, like
action
Mission
focused.
Impossible, Top Gun, those types of things.
Yeah.
But in 2002, they released a 113-minute director's cut, restoring Ridley Scott's original vision and Jerry Goldsmith's music, solidifying its reputation as a classic piece of 1980s dark fantasy cinema.
Wow.
Yeah. So
That's
there you
really
go.
Interesting. I haven't watched it, as I said, but I think this demon also reminds me of Hellboy, maybe. Like
absolutely.
the look of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, all of this is really interesting because you only, I mean, you're not only learning about the movie itself, but also like the behind the production and that was required.
Absolutely. And yesterday we talked about the never-ending story.
Yes.
And so I'm not gonna go too deep into the never-ending story, but I think it's worth just like showing some images from. So they made some sequels, but the first two are like the strongest, particularly the first one. And again, this one is dark fantasy. And in dark fantasy, one of the things about it is that it's unapologetically dark. Like it's not trying to be anything other than what it is. And so yeah, absolutely. The Tim Curry character had a lot of Hellboy vibes. After that movie, actually, Tim Curry didn't want to ever like put on prosthetic makeup again. but he also played It. Remember? Yeah. He played It in like the television movie. It was divided into two films. One played like one night after the other. But Tim Curry, like he said, he was never going to get back into prosthetics, but he did it for that It like production.
Hours,
Just too much. It's like, I think I might get stir crazy sitting in the chair for that long.
Yeah, and thank you for letting me know, John Scott. Yeah, it kind of gave me that vibe.
But the never-ending story is something I really highly recommend. But we covered that yesterday, so I'm not going to dive too much into it. But it's definitely about like the childlike innocence, the childhood psyche, like coping with childhood trauma, understanding how we see ourselves in story,
memory.
Memory and the importance of you know. And also I think it's like the nothingness was like a metaphor for like adulthood. Because adulthood, you can like lose your imagination, you can lose like the ability to have fun with life. So it's like it makes sense that would be like the nothingness might be a metaphor for adulthood in and of itself.
That would be like a threatened thing. And also the most important thing in the movie was the child's imagination.
Yeah, Bastian is the main child who reads the book. And so it's definitely like a projection of his imagination.
Right.
All right, so the next one is Excalibur, which it goes back to like the death of Arthur, or the King Arthur. I mean, Excalibur is a legendary sword of King Arthur, symbolizing divine right, magical power, and heroic destiny. It's often confused with the sword in the stone. It was famously gifted to Arthur by the Lady of the Lake after his blade broke. Its magical scabbard also made Arthur invincible to bleeding in battle. But there was a movie. There was a movie from 1981, and so the 80s was like the height of dark fantasy. But you guys tell me, it's like maybe the more we explore it, the more it's like it makes sense that these movies didn't quite work, let's say. But I think there's definitely like a DVD or physical media or home media audience for this stuff.
Because I'm also imagining that a lot of these films became kind of like cult movies almost.
They did.
Yeah.
They really did.
So it would make sense for for people in general to have these interest in this type of movies.
Absolutely.
Kind of like what Mark Sands was mentioning about A Clockwork Orange. I mean, that also has like its own,
like, it's trippy
fan base. So
So here's the cover for Excalibur. You're going to see like some recurring themes too. Like this is like reminiscent of like Conan the Barbarian or Legend that we just saw. Like there's a lot of.
I love the artwork on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to like it because it's it's just so fantastical.
Yeah, yeah.
It says I might have missed the point, but are you saying that the Neverending Story wasn't popular? No, I actually think the Neverending Story was popular, but a lot of these dark fantasy films underperformed, and I think also because the studios like they couldn't like market it as dark fantasy, they had to like market it as as something that was like an action film, or it was like a pure like fun fantasy film. And so I think part of the reason why dark fantasy doesn't tend to work at the box office is because the marketing department of the studios, they never have marketed a dark fantasy properly.
Yeah.
Maybe on some few occasions, like with Guillermo del Toro, like in recent years, but in general, I think that they don't quite know what to do, because it's like, how do you market something? Come to the theater and be, and get some, get weirded out,
Because even with him, with Guillermo, they've had to label it as something else quite in a way.
Right.
So I would see how marketing also is tricky in that sense.
Yeah, it says The Neverending Story was highly popular as a 1984 fantasy blockbuster and grossed over 100 million worldwide as a massive generational touchstone. And The Neverending Story, one of the things about that film is I think that worked too, because they actually did market it for what it was. Because remember, that wasn't made in the US. It was actually made in Europe. And so they had like a different approach to marketing it. But Excalibur is considered a cult classic and one of the definitive cinematic adaptations of Arthurian lore. It has highly stylized or hyper stylized visual aesthetics, massive practical production for launching the careers of several legendary actors. And it's basically based off of the death of Arthur, or the French Le Mort d'Arthur. And so, this has a huge cast, but Helen Mirren, it launched her career, or was part of launching her career. She was a seductive villainous sorceress Morgana. Nicole Williamson was an eccentric, theatrical, and occasionally humorous Merlin. Liam Neeson is one of his earliest films. He was Sir Gawain. Patrick Stewart was in this film, making a memorable appearance as King Leo de Grasse, and then Gabriel Byrne as King Uther Pendragon.
Okay.
So it was like a modest commercial hit, grossing $35 million against an $11 million budget. It won the award for Best Artistic Contribution at the 1981 Cannes Film Festival.
Wow. And
earned an Academy Award nomination for Best Cinematography. But it didn't win, but it was nominated. But Excalibur, it was... It says, interesting, Borman, the director, only made Excalibur after a planned live-action adaptation of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings fell through, carrying over major of his design ideas into the world of Camelot. So it's like he made this film because he was supposed to be the original director of a live adaptation of The Lord of the Rings. But since it fell through, he was like, well, I already have all these creative ideas.
Oh, wow.
The same thing happened with like Star Wars and Dune. Have you heard of that? Like, there are whole documentaries about the people who originally developed Dune.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting.
Wow. But I guess it's I guess you can see the inspiration. Yeah.
I've got a whole list of films here, but I'm gonna cover one more, and it's gonna be Willow. Have you heard of Willow?
Willow, no.
And what's interesting about Willow is from 1988. It has Val Kilmer, and it has like a little person, Warwick Davis. Warwick Davis was, that famous movie Leprechaun with Jennifer Aniston. Have you seen that? Clips of that?
I haven't seen it, but I know about that movie.
So Warwick Davis, he's like a famous little person actor. And what's interesting about Willow is that they tried to make it into they made it into a series in like 2022, and it just bombed spectacularly. And so it just kind of solidified like the end of, them, going into that arena of dark fantasy. I think Disney is very like risk averse, understandably so.
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to pull up some images of Willow, and then we will end on that note.
AJ plays it. Liam Neeson had to yell that out. Yeah, I mean, you mentioned that it was one of his first roles, like,
Which
so,
one, Liam Neeson?
Yeah, on the past film.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Film. Yeah.
Liam Neeson had to tell that. Yeah, did I say something else? Yeah, Liam Neeson. Yeah, he's just great. I think people love Liam Neeson. I love that he's still working. Helen Mirren is still working. Patrick Stewart is still working.
Mm-hmm.
Patrick Stewart's in the new Doomsday Marvel movie that's coming up. So here's Willow. If you guys are new here, leave a comment if you've seen Willow. Did any of these memories strike a memory with you, Mario? This is before your time. So
yeah,
it was 1988.
Yeah. But mostly the Disney one, because I think I was also like into Disney's like animated movies about all these kids in fantastical worlds. So. But yeah, that one. And then I'm also like curating my list of films that I have to watch, because I definitely feel like I'm behind on this topic too.
Well, I mean, there's so many films out there. It's hard to be like, I've seen it all or I've done it all.
Right.
But I think it's like we can give a quick overview and give someone like, if they don't have time to see the movie, at least they feel like, okay, I know about it. I know the kind of key components of it.
Yeah, and also like to understand the contribution and the importance of the XYZ film for history, like in general.
So Willow, let me edit this stage. So there's like an evil queen. He has to steal a baby to help them get through. The whole thing is very fantastical. I will say I do love this film. It's from 1988. So it's a dark fantasy adventure directed by Ron Howard, and it's conceived and executive by George Lucas, and it's starring Warwick Davis as the little guy, and Val Kilmer. The story centers around a reluctant farmer and aspiring sorcerer who must undertake a perilous journey to protect an innocent baby, prophesied to overthrow a tyrannical evil queen. So they go like searching for this baby, and that's why you see Willow with this baby, because she's like it's very like Snow White like I'm the fairest of them all. So there's a prophecy that this baby is going to overthrow this tyrannical evil queen. So the prophecy is that a baby girl named Elora Danon is born with a special birthmark destined to bring about the downfall of the wicked queen, Bavmorda. Willow discovers the abandoned baby floating down a river, very much like Moses, right?
This sounds very biblical.
Yeah, it's very biblical. Near his village, and takes her in. Tasked by his village wizard to return the child to her own people, Willow, because everyone in his town is like they're all little people, and so that's part of like what makes the film like fun for children and kind of fantastical. But their local wizard says that you have to take the baby back to her own people. So Willow leaves the safety and faces massive armies and monsters. This is very like Tolkien-esque, right? With like the ring, except it's the actual baby. Along the way, Willow teams up with Val Kilmer's character, a rogue, swaggering swordsman, and the sorceress Finn Raziel, and the two mischievous tiny brownies. They're like these two little miniature people that are in here, and they're like little jokesters. If you watch the movie, it's actually one of the more like adorable aspects to the film. But they're these two little tiny people in the film, and it's very it checks all the boxes for fantasy and for dark fantasy. And so Ron Howard's the director. George Lucas was the story and executive producer. The music was made by James Horner. So there's so many like star talent around it, in front of the camera and behind.
Who's the skeleton guy that I'm seeing on the poster?
Let's see.
Because I also see like all these characters and all these creatures, and I think even this composition makes it feel like very classical in that way.
General Kale, he acts as a secondary antagonist and the primary physical threat, tracking down Willow and Val Kilmer's character and the baby Elora, while the evil queen is like the main villain. The Skeletor guy, it's interesting because I watched Masters of the Universe last night, and the villain is literally called Skeletor. So it's kind of goofy. But in this one, it's General Kale. but he's a secondary antagonist, and he's tracking Willow as Willow tries to carry the baby to where it's supposed to be found. Because remember, he finds it in a basket floating down the river.
Okay.
So it's very interesting.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, this thing.
I love it.
Really
Willow was my first crush movie. Who did you have a crush on? AJ play? Like, did you have a crush on Willow, or did you have a crush on the Evil Queen? Who did you have a crush on? I'd be curious.
Thank you, Mark Sands.
Thank you, Mark Sands. Thank you so much.
Thank you. But yeah, this skeleton creature kind of popped up to me because it's kind of like outside the rest.
Did anyone notice his name was Willow Ufgood, or of good, being he was an honorable person? Yeah, that's his name. I kind of jumped over that, but just because I didn't want to throw people off. But yeah, his name is like Ufgood, meaning like he's good. So it's like inherently good. And something about dark fantasy too is that it's not trying to be meta. It's not trying to be anything than what it is. So there's like a sincerity to dark fantasy, which you don't really see as much. I mean, Masters of the Universe was 100% not like sincere. It was.
I was gonna say, like,
it's like winking, like, this is goofy. Like, have fun with us. We had to make this movie.
I was gonna mention this. Like you said, that Masters of the Universe doesn't take itself seriously in that way, and so I think even for the reality aspect of things, the suspension of disbelief, these movies or movies in general have to kind of believe in themselves.
Absolutely. Because if they don't, then like the whole thing falls apart. Because like you said, the suspension of disbelief is so so key.
Yeah, like once you start judging movies based on like logic and pure logic, then it becomes
it falls apart because like the whole idea is to enter like a fantasy realm.
Yeah, and I think that's
and I think the darker it is, on some level, it's actually easier to suspend your disbelief because the darkness of it in some ways feels more plausible than, because even in Lord of the Rings, it's dark. Like it's not like it's everything's perfect. Like no, Lord Sauron is like, powerful and So you had a crush on Warwick Davis. I can see that. I love that. Well, AJ, I love that you're here.
Yes, thank you, AJ.
All right, so I'm gonna cover one more film, and we need 3 more super chats, guys, to keep us in business, keep going, so we can keep getting better as we go.
Yes, guys.
But we're gonna do Nighthawk. So Nighthawk is a movie, or Ladyhawk, I should say. Ladyhawk. Have you heard of Ladyhawk?
Ladyhawk. It sounds familiar in a way, like it's ringing a bell.
So do you recognize these actors here?
Let me see.
See if you recognize them. Has anyone in the chat seen Ladyhawk? So Ladyhawk is also from 1985. It's a 1985. There were a lot of
these movies.
A lot of them are from 1985 specifically, like the 80s, but specifically 1985.
Oh, then no, I probably was thinking of another movie.
Let's see here. Let's get 3 more super chats and then we'll call it a night. But I wanted to cover this last one here.
So, Matthew Broderick.
That's right. Ding, ding, ding. Exactly. All right. So Ladyhawk is a medieval fantasy film directed and produced by Richard Donner. It stars Matthew Broderick. Thank you, Mark Sands. Off topic, but first crush is Kelly Bundy and Christina Applegate. Oh my gosh, Christina Applegate is so hilarious. I love her. I just watched the movie Vacation. So funny. Like Christina Applegate is amazing. I love her.
Thank you.
So that's a good one. You guys let us know who your first crush is.
Yeah, like movie crush.
Who's your first movie crush? I'd be interested.
Thank you, Mark Sands.
Thank you, Mark Sands. Seriously. All right, we're 2 away. All right, so it stars Matthew Broderick, Rutger Hauer, who's that guy here, and Michelle Pfeiffer, also known as, in Spanish, they called it El Hechizo de Aquila in Latin America, or Lady Halcón in Spain. The movie earned a cult classic status for its tragic romantic premise, gorgeous real Italian locations, and its uniquely distinct 1980s progressive rock synth soundtrack. So the 80s had a lot of this this synth music.
Yeah.
The storyline revolves around a magical but tragic cursed place on two star-crossed lovers by the corrupt and obsessive Bishop of Aquila. The lovers are fated to be always together and eternally apart. By day, Isabel transforms into a hawk. By night, Navarre transforms into a sleek black wolf. They can only briefly see each other in human form during the fleeting moments of the dawn and twilight. So, Captain Etienne Navarre, I'm saying in Spanish, but Navarre, Rutger Hauer, a stoic black-clad knight, determined to assassinate the bishop and break the spell. Then Michelle Pfeiffer is Lazy Isabel, or Isabeau, is a beautiful woman lusted after by the bishop, whose rejection sparked the curse in the first place. And then Matthew Broderick is the mouse. So if you watch the film, he's referred to as the mouse, but his name in the movie is Philip Gaston.
Okay.
He's a witty young pickpocket who manages a miraculous escape from the dungeons of Aquila. He reluctantly becomes the primary link and messenger between the day-dwelling hawk and the night-dwelling wolf. So he's able to connect them. And Richard Donner directed this feature in the midst of an iconic career run that included Superman, The Goonies, and Lethal Weapon. So he had done a bunch of big films. But rather than relying entirely on studio sets, the production filmed extensively in real medieval castles, ruins, and landscapes across Italy, giving the scenes an authentic and atmospheric feel. So this is what makes it kind of feel also very dark too, is that it wasn't, again, not CGI. There are real ruins in the background here.
Yeah, wow.
The score was composed by Andrew Powell and produced by Alan Parsons. The decision to use modern 1980s electronic synthesizers against a medieval backdrop remains one of the film's most widely discussed and polarizing creative choices. So a lot of people that actually do love the film say that there was a mistake to use the electronic synthesizers because it took away from the medieval aesthetic, making it feel too 80s synth, that sound that was really coming into vogue at the time.
Yeah.
So that's why some people argue that that's one of the reasons why the movie didn't kind of, you might say, pop off in the way that, not pop off in the terms of being angry, but pop in terms of popularity. But it celebrated largely for its technical craft, and the film earned 2 Academy Award nominations for Best Sound, ironically, and Best Sound Effects Editing. And I think that was because they heavily lobbied for it as well, I would argue.
I mean, I think that many of these films, 80s films, were also, for example, Kubrick also popularized the synthesized, the synth sound. So I'm intrigued by this movie because I think I will enjoy that aspect, actually, the idea of combining these 2 elements that from outside seem to be quite contradictory. Because Kubrick was also famous, right, for using these sounds, this music on his films.
Absolutely. I think it's fantasy is so much, it's related to, it feels like it's intrinsically related to the medieval period. It doesn't have to be, but it's in some ways it feels like it is. And again, that's kind of why I think the Odyssey, it feels weird for them to say dad or let's go. Or, there's a lot of criticism for the Rings of Power because they say okay, where okay was literally became into popularity after the 8th president of the United States was running a re-election campaign. So the word okay, it might feel very ubiquitous to the entire world, but it was part of a presidential campaign of the United States. That's how new the word okay is. So it's very fascinating.
Wow. Yeah. But I guess anachronisms can be made well, they can be used in a clever way. But we'll see. I mean, with this movie, I'm I'm skeptical, but we'll see. But I do think that with these elements of combining, fantasy and medieval themes, maybe visuals, but at the same time using something like music, for example, to kind of put against the more classical background can feel definitely more interesting if done well.
Absolutely. And I'm gonna do one more because it wouldn't be complete if I didn't cover Highlander, at least and just briefly cover Highlander. So Highlander is huge. Like Highlander, people are still obsessed with this film, and it spawns many sequels. So you guys let me know in the chat if you know Highlander. People really love Christopher Lambert in this movie. He's got that really beautiful, like raspy voice. But Highlander is a 1986 fantasy action adventure cult classic film directed by Russell Mulcahy and starring Christopher Lambert. It's famous for its tagline, "There can only be one." So it's kind of like Lord of the Rings in that way, but only one person can like live forever. And so you'll see. The story follows Connor MacLeod, a 16th century Scottish clansman who discovers he is an immortal after surviving a fatal battlefield wound. Immortals live secretly among humans through the ages. They can only die by decapitation. Like, if I promise you'll probably actually like this movie.
This one I know, but I haven't seen it.
Yeah, because you've heard of it, because there are people that are so obsessed with it. Like it's like reached you. That's right. AG plays like "There can only be one." But I think it's so interesting to look into the past, because we're so busy marketing these new films.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mark Stans, and we're getting better and better. We appreciate you so much. Like, thank you.
Thank you, Mark Stans.
And we're looking for like a third person. So if you guys have people who have channels who have similar topics or similar like points of view, or want to explore these types of things, let us know, because we have this program where we can actually have visitors come in and we can chat with them, and it'd be live.
Yeah,
which is really cool.
Yeah.
But so the story follows Christopher Lambert's character, which is Connor MacLeod, a 16th century Scottish clansman who discovers he's immortal. He can only die by decapitation. When one beheads another, they absorb their fallen rival's power and memories through an explosive electrical energy surge called the quickening. It's like whenever you'll see, if you look up like on your phone tonight, you'll see like the scenes are so epic.
Yeah.
But when they decapitate their person that they're fighting against, there's like this huge electrical storm around them, and it goes into the sword, and they absorb all of the memories and the power of the person. The plot constantly jumps between MacLeod's past and medieval Scotland and his present day as an antique dealer in 1985 New York City.
Oh, wow.
In New York City, the few remaining immortals have gathered for the gathering, a final to the death tournament where the sole survivor wins the prize, which is the ultimate knowledge, mortality, and the power to guide humanity. So it's actually, they want, I guess in this, the prize is that they actually want mortality, which is kind of interesting. But the titular character, Highlander, ironically, the French-raised Lambert spoke very little English at the time and delivered his lines with distinct, heavily stylized accents. So his character, he's supposed to be like a Scotsman, but he actually didn't really know English, but he just had such a great look and energy for this role. And he was also like in the arts, he really embodies his role, but he did not speak English. So there was some criticism there. And then Sean Connery is in the film as well. Obviously a super famous actor. He's a centuries-old Spaniard-Egyptian metallurgist who becomes Connor's eccentric, charismatic mentor. In another iconic twist, the legendary Scottish actor Sean Connery plays the flamboyant foreigner, when in reality he is the Scot. Like, he's a Scottish person. and then Christopher Lambert, who's French, is playing the Scottish. So it's kind of like a cluster in terms of like casting. It's like bizarre choices, but in some way it really works. And then there's the Kurgan, which is played by Clancy Brown, the terrifying, sadistic main villain. He is a massive barbarian who has hunted MacLeod across centuries and represents humanity's darkest side. And then there's Brenda Wyatt, played by Roxanne Hart. She's a modern NYPD forensics expert who uncovers evidence of ancient swords in New York's crime scene and falls in love with Connor, which is Christopher Lambert, who's Highlander. One of the film's defining legacies is its music. The legendary rock band Queen composed and performed 5 original songs for the movie. Mega hits like Who Wants to Live Forever, Princes of the Universe were created specifically to match the movie's themes of tragic immortality and intense action, because it explores the themes of if you truly live forever, like it might lead to like severe like depression, like the idea that you're going to live forever. So it's kind of interesting.
Yes.
And so they actually they have a final battle to try to reach mortality.
Wow.
While the original film bombed at the US box office, it became an absolute giant on VHS home video and established a massive global cult following. It spawned 4 theatrical movie sequels, several live action and animated TV series, and video games. However, the sequels are widely criticized for radically breaking the lore and at one point even retconning the immortals into aliens. So
Wow.
obviously retconning is really controversial. And if you guys don't know what that is, retconning is whenever you take like an iconic property, let's say, and you say, okay, actually, we're going to pretend like this movie didn't happen. We're going to pretend like this didn't happen. Maybe it was a plot point. Maybe it was a movie. But there's a lot of talk about them doing that with Star Wars, let's say, like retconning it, meaning like we're going to pretend like the last 3 movies didn't happen and then
didn't exist.
Yeah. Which would make sense if they wanted to kind of, go back, and it's like a way of rebooting it. Can you think of a famous retcon? They've done it again and again, but they do it so cleverly. It's kind of designed to make you forget about what the original was. It's like rewriting history.
Yeah, I'm only thinking right now of Star Wars. Yeah, but
yeah. You guys, we need 2 more super chats, so help us out in the
I had a
chat.
question that's kind of off topic, but
no, go for it.
So if a movie bombs on the box office, but then it makes like its money back on the sales, like physical sales, that still count as?
It doesn't count as box office dollars.
Right.
But the reason why that's not as much of a thing anymore is because, for example, like in the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, there were so many movies that were made for direct-to-DVD because you could make so much money from those physical sales. And you know who talks at length about this is Tom Hanks. He's talked about this. He said, your movie can bomb, but every single like Blockbuster at the time or your mom and pop, local rental shop had to buy like 100 copies. So even if it was a failure at the it could become a success through physical media. Especially if it has something that has like a lot of fanboys or fangirls behind it. And that's what happened with Highlander. So but that's not really as much a phenomenon today because now
there's not as
physical media. Exactly. So that's why there's such a huge dependence on movies doing well in the theater. So because there was no internet, there was no way of like getting the film. But that's why they're making movies like for direct to streaming as well, because it's like, well, also we can also hide if it's not really a success,
True.
But Highlander it bombed. It was a total bomb.
Wow.
But it made a ton of money in physical sales, which at the time was VHS. So this movie came out in 1986. And again, Queen made all these original songs for it. But again, like the sequels are highly criticized. So I wouldn't recommend necessarily diving into the sequels, but I would recommend watching the original film because the lore is so wild. Hey, David Young.
Hello.
Welcome back.
Well, yeah, I was just, that also kind of stuck out to me.
Good point. How'd you play?
I think this movie became iconic, at least on the internet as well, later on.
Yeah, people love it. Like there can only be one. When you watch it, it's like there can only be one. And I think people think that you're referencing another movie, but people who know Highlander, they know Highlander. Like it's its own thing.
Yeah,
so people love it.
Yeah. I like physical media. It's getting so hard to escape from movie links on the internet nowadays. Again, it's.
I think the scary part is about like if you move a lot, or if you it's like things can get lost or things can get broken. So I understand, but I think there is a desire to return to physical media, which is what we've seen with some of these big stars coming out with like vinyl for their records, and movies, having physical releases. And just like the idea of having like a Blu-ray or DVD collection is popular.
It's nice, yeah.
And funny enough, DVDs still outsell Blu-rays, even though Blu-rays are superior in terms of their quality.
Wow.
All right, we need 2 super chats, guys. Help us out. Help us out.
Or let us know which movie should we cover next.
But basically, all of this is going to Jimmy because Jimmy's like, I need this, I need that. I'm like, okay, let me help you. There are plenty of movies. I'll cover one from 1982, which is Conan the Barbarian.
Oh yeah. Bunny Prince Charlie, starring David Niven, the master of Ballantrae, starring Errol Flynn, The New Avengers, Highlander, Loch Ness, James Bond, The World Is Not Enough. Good recommendations, AG Play. Yes,
Okay,
we
good. I
will.
like it.
Yeah.
I love recommendations. Film recommendations. This is what we're all about tonight. All right, so people love the Arnold. Arnold Schwarzenegger is so like I love his like he's written books. He's very like going to another country and like just like totally like dominating. I think that's such a cool aspect of his like his own lore. Him. He's just I look up to him a lot. Looking past, I'm not talking about politically or anything like that. I'm talking about just like him as a person, like the ability to achieve what he did, even like the language barriers.
Yeah.
Just iconic.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, he has also been in very, very iconic movies as well.
Yeah, tons of movies, like and across genres. I mean, he's the literal Terminator. I mean, he's done so much. All right, so I'm going to pull up, this will be the last one. But the Highlander, check it out. There can only be one is the famous tagline for that.
Yes.
All right, so have you seen Conan the Barbarian?
No.
All right, so I'm going to show these pictures of Highlander before we go. This is Highlander. Y'all check that out.
Okay. So AG said, Brent, that list was because of that castle filming location. So I guess they have used this castle on the movies he mentioned.
I think he was saying that like there was the end sequence of one of the films was like he said it was identical to another movie. Okay. Which movie was it? Let's see. This is Brent. That Lost was because of the castle filming location. That list. Okay. Oh, okay, got it. So this list here, all of these films filmed around the same castle. Copy that. Got it. That's interesting. Listen, it's hard to find a castle, so you have to like fake it now. And part of the reason why dark fantasy resonates with people so much is that they're not using CGI. They're actually using physical locations. They're not like phoning it in, let's say. Like they're there's a physicality to it that's like really important for dark fantasy. So here are some images from Conan the Barbarian. And again, this is like, playing off of, well, actually this is one of the first ones that's really about the physicality of the person. Okay. But these other films haven't necessarily relied on, it's not necessarily central, I don't think. But Conan the Barbarian this is a pretty cool film. I recommend it. All right. So this is a definitive 1982 sword and sorcery epic directed by John Milius. John Milius is really famous. I'm sure you've heard his name. He was famous for these like grittier movies from, he was like I'm pretty sure George Lucas worked with John Milius. It's because John Milius was like famous for just like going and doing it, and doing the thing.
Yeah. I'm sure I've seen some of his movies. It's just
let's say he did he came into the 1970s with the new Hollywood era alongside Francis Ford Coppola, George Lucas, and other larger than life. He had a larger than life personality. He did Conan the Barbarian, Red Dawn. He wrote a lot of movies. He wrote Apocalypse Now. He wrote The Wind and the Lion. And he's just like, he's huge. But he wrote a lot of like surfing and martial arts. He had a huge surfing and martial arts background, so he like could contribute to this art form in a unique way. But he did a movie called, well, some of these movies are too obscure. Like he deserves his own video. Yeah. But basically, John Milius is like very, very, very famous. If he worked inside of Hollywood, like his impact can't be like overstated, because he helped inspire so many different people. But anyway, he directed this film, and it was co-written by Oliver Stone. So as you can see, like he's worked with like these iconic people, and starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and his breakthrough cinematic role. The movie is based on the iconic Pulp Fiction characters created by Robert E. Howard. So the plot: after witnessing his parents slaughtered by the snake cult leader Thulsa Doom, which is James Earl Jones, which later came around in Star Wars. He's the voice of Darth Vader. Young Conan is enslaved on the wheel of pain. As an adult, he is freed, trains as a gladiator, and sets out on a Hyborian age alongside thieves Valeria and Subodia, very like fantastical names, to exact his bloody revenge. Filmed largely across the vast landscape in Spain, the production utilized a $20 million budget and went on to gross roughly $70 to $80 million globally
Wow.
during its initial theatrical run. While early critical reviews were mixed regarding its intense violence, the film has since established a massive cult following. It is frequently praised for its practical effects, production design by Ron Cobb, and a highly celebrated, powerful orchestral score by Basil Pelodorus. But James Earl Jones is in this film. Arnold Schwarzenegger is the main guy. And if I'm not mistaken, this is available on Disney Plus. So if you haven't seen Conan the Barbarian, but the practical effects are huge. And I think just taking a chance on a foreign actor who has an accent to be your star is interesting, because this is like this is before he broke out. This was like his breakout role.
I think that's the power of believing in like new talent as well, like recognizing when
and in yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Like recognizing when you can be key component on a new thing. And actually going for it.
Yeah. Some people mix this up with Krull. Like Krull is Krull, which is a 1983 film. And that was by Peter Yates, released by Columbia. But I'll pull up a picture of Krull just so y'all can see that as we close out. If you guys would like to support the channel, you can leave a super chat. Feel free to.
2 super chats away from our goal. So feel free to.
But people who are alive during this, they're like, oh, it's a lot of this stuff is like related to like our childhood, and it's like it has like a unique meaning for us, and it's like it kind of established some of the basic elements of filmmaking for this genre. Whether it became lighter or like even Masters of the Universe, you can see like the way it gets some of its inspiration from these earlier films.
I'm sure that they also had that in their mood boards.
Absolutely. That's really, I love that the idea of a mood board. I've never I don't think made a full on mood board, or maybe I have. I didn't really realize that.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. It's like what is the overall vibe because a film at the end of the day, that's the main thing that it's like serving. It's like an overall sensibility or a vibe. Here's like the Chinese cover of Krull. But in the movie How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, they joke about Krull because the character played by have you seen How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days?
Yeah.
So do you remember he's like, she calls his member Princess Sophia, like as a joke, and he's like, why don't you call it something more manly like Krull the Warrior King? So that's a reference to this.
Wow, I love that poster. It's very fantasy sci-fi thing. John Scott said, "Oh, don't get me started on Krull."
Well, what do you have to say about Krull? Tell us.
Yes,
I'd be curious to know.
Let us know. But it does look like another like film that's particular.
So Krull. Krull is a science fiction, science fantasy epic, and it's a peaceful planet of Krull is invaded by the Beast, a monstrous creature traveling through space inside a mountain-sized spaceship known as the Black Fortress. The Beast commands an army of heavily armored alien soldiers called Slayers to unite the planet against this threat. Prince Colwyn and Princess Lissa attempt to marry. However, the Slayers crash the wedding, kidnap Lissa, and leave Colwyn for dead. Rescued by Ynir, and again, all these names is very like fantasy-esque. An old wise man, Colwyn must embark on a perilous quest to find the legendary glaive, a magical 5-pointed throwing weapon, which you see there, like this little weapon that's on the poster. A 5-pointed throwing weapon with hidden blades, and find the ever-shifting Black Fortress to save his bride and the universe. Wow. So it has Masters of the Universe energy. But what are they saying about Krull? Hey, Sultan, how are you?
Hi, Sultan.
Yes, we're doing good. We're about to wrap it up. Kroll was great. I have to watch Kroll. I'm not gonna lie. This is this is the one I have not seen. So Kroll is get to the chopper. That's a line from Arnold Schwarzenegger. I think that's from. Is that from Terminator or is that from another movie?
It sounds Terminator.
I love this one movie. It's I rewatched it recently and I realized it's heavily flawed, but it's called The Last Action Hero. Last Action Hero with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Oh,
it's like a family friendly movie that bombed. It had a huge budget, but it was just slightly like misedited and misscored, but it's a fun romp. But it was called Last Action Hero. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is in the movie and he like comes out of the movie theater inside the movie.
Oh wow.
It's a whole thing.
Nice.
Anyway, so Kroll. So some people mix up Kroll and Conan. So, but they're different films.
Yeah, this definitely looks more sci-fi.
This is definitely more sci-fi, whereas Kroll is more of your fantasy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And then guess who scored it? James Horner. So James Horner was so prolific.
Yeah.
So much like Conan, Kroll is highly celebrated for its magnificent orchestral soundtrack, composed by young James Horner, who later scored Titanic and Avatar. The music is grand, adventurous, and filled with soaring brass sections and driving percussion. Fans and critics widely consider Horner's work on Kroll to be one of the greatest fantasy film scores ever recorded. So that's what a lot of people, especially critics, remember of this film was the power of the score, like how incredibly, and I think that's so real.
Yeah.
And I think that even the average person can start to identify like, okay, this is really giving me a vibe or emotions because of the power of the score.
Yeah. Is there only a movie? Is there,
it wouldn't surprise me if it spawned sequels.
Because it seems like the type of movie that has sequels, but John Scott said that he loves that movie, so
I'm gonna watch it now that people are telling me. Let's see. So Kroll. Let's see if there's any additional. So no, there are no official sequels, remakes, or TV series in existence for the 1983 film Kroll. The original film was planned at the start as a major franchise, but it became a massive box office bomb, grossing only $16.5 million against a budget of $47 million. So this financial failure instantly canceled all plans for an immediate theatrical sequel. However, the film has generated several rumors of an expanded universe or media. For example, J.J. Abrams had a project that was circulating Warner Brothers and developing a Kroll reboot with him as the director. However, the project remained stuck in development hell. So, it's one of those things where it hasn't really expanded. There was an Atari game for the Atari 2600 and there was an arcade machine, but other than that, no. There was a tie-in sci-fi novelization written by Alan Dean Foster and was published alongside the movie's release, but the movie bombed so hard that it didn't, but it does have a cult legacy for sure.
Yeah.
But again, this was also filmed in Pinewood Studios. So almost anything that has like a grand scale and it's a live action to this day is filmed. AG Play, you're right. A lot of these films are underrated, and that's kind of why we're exploring them, because I think there is an appetite for them, but I think the way that they're marketed, it's tricky. Like people don't really quite know how to market dark fantasy. And the reason why is because the studio is scared that it's not going to be a 4-quadrant film, meaning like appealing to people, men and women above and below 25. Whereas this maybe feels like more decidedly, young men or, heavily men skewing. But yeah, it was a box office bomb, competing in a packed summer alongside The Return of the Jedi. So there you go. However, its striking visual design, the unforgettable look of the glaive, which is that giant mountain spaceship, and the frequent television broadcast earned it a massive nostalgic cult following in the decades that followed. It kind of reminds me like whenever movies get a cult following because they get released on television. That's what happened with The Wizard of Oz. People don't realize that was actually a box office disappointment in the theaters. But they replayed it on television so much that it became this hugely popular film because it's like it became part of all of our childhoods because now the movie is in our homes.
Yeah.
So that's probably what happened with Kroll, and Mark, like, Kroll is a fever dream. I'm glad you're back, Michael McSilvers.
Hey,
We're still
Michael.
going.
Kroll is a
We're
fever.
2 super chats away.
So do you like it, Michael? Do you like it? Is it a
Yeah,
good
Red
fever
Sonja.
dream?
Yeah, let's look up.
Because we haven't seen it, Michael. So we were just covering as part of a thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Seriously. So Red Sonja is a 1985 film, and I'm glad he brings this up because it was another sword and sorcery film. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Michael.
Yay! All right, so Red Sonja, it looks like Conan. Like it looks like yay! I didn't miss all the episode. That's right. You're here. You're here to help us finish our goal. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, you're amazing. All right, so Red Sonja was from Richard Fleischer, and it stars Brigitte Nielsen. This is it looks like these covers. This also has Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah, I think Chad was mentioning it when we were covering Conan because of our Arnold. Yeah.
Here, I'll pull it up here. So Red Sonja. I think this, you could definitely classify this as, there's the sword and sorcery, which oftentimes goes along with dark fantasy because there's so many like dark elements in it.
Is this based off of something else?
It was from a screenplay by Clive Exton and George MacDonald Fraser. It's based on Red Sonja of Rogatino by Robert E. Howard. It stars Brigitte Nielsen in her film debut as the title character, and Arnold Schwarzenegger as her companion, and Lord Calidor with several other supporting characters. So let's see. Sonja, a young red-headed woman, is gang blanked and left for dead by soldiers of Queen Gedren, who murdered Sonja's parents. And it's kind of a convoluted plot, but it's probably a great film. I've got to check it out. But this is another movie that bombed, unfortunately.
Yeah, I hadn't heard of it.
Yeah.
So would you recommend it, Michael?
I'm going to check it out. He's saying that there are like some queer characters in there.
Yeah.
But it was actually a Marvel comic. So there was a Marvel comic published as a comic book adaptation of the film that came later. So it wasn't based off of a Marvel comic, but a Marvel comic was produced after it. And then, let's see.
I was wondering because the images that pop up on Google, like
they keep trying to remake it, but they can never get the money together. So
comic like
they keep trying to remake it.
You have to watch the full movie, not a TV edit. Yeah, I mean, I believe you, Michael.
Yeah, I think a lot of films, and again, this is why we do this channel too, is to explore like maybe some underappreciated media, things that actually have a lot of merit, but for one reason or another, they just kind of get swept under the rug. But it follows a fierce warrior seeking revenge against the evil queen, who stole a mystical, world-destroying talisman. So after the tyrant queen Gedren raises a temple to steal a priceless and powerful talisman, she orders the massacre of the priestess who guarded it. One escaping priestess finds her warrior sister, Red Sonja, to warn her. After spurning Gedren's romantic advances in the past, Sonja's family was murdered, and she was granted magical fighting skills by a forest spirit. So, forest swearing revenge, Sonja sets out to destroy the talisman and stop Gedren, accompanied by Lord Calidor and a young Prince Tarn and his bodyguard. So it came out on July 3rd, 1985, and it had a budget of $16 to $18 million. A commercial and critical disaster, the movie grossed only $6.9 million in the U.S., stalling in the 1980s. It basically was kind of credited as like ending the sword and sorcery genre. It doesn't mean it's bad. It just means at the time it's like people didn't accept it. But maybe it's because of what Michael McSilvers mentioned. Like there's a gay wizard in there, so that alone at the time could have been. Yeah, the queen was pissed. So the Gedren was the queen, the tyrant queen. Which I think that's like a trope, right? In these fantasy films, but again, if there's a gay wizard, that may spell doom for your movie. Let's see.
AG said, Red Sonja is like Conan meets Angry Red Plane.
It's known as a spiritual successor to Conan the Barbarian
Well,
because it came out after the Conan the Barbarian, so it was like the spiritual successor.
now I'll have
So
to watch this. I mean, the chat knows it, so I'm gonna watch it, guys.
So it put a dent in Arnold Schwarzenegger's invincible box office run. So he'd been having like hit after hit at this point.
Yeah.
But it hurt. But I've seen that people kind of breeze over this movie. It never gets like quite the attention that it deserves.
Yeah.
But it got a cinema score of a D+. And the cinema score is actually a pretty accurate representation of like how general audiences feel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's see. Joe Kane gave it 1 out of 4 stars. He called, while Conan the Barbarian was a sword and sorcery, this is grunt and groan. The actors grunt while the audience groans. So I think it says there's clunky storytelling. Arnold Schwarzenegger's most impressive feat is managing to stay off screen for more than half the running time despite being top billed.
Wow.
I've heard about this, that like he's not really in the movie a whole lot. But again, obviously, like several major people have tried to remake this movie, maybe feeling they could do it justice in some way, shape, or form. But I'll check it out. But again, if I'm citing the critics, it's not because I agree. I actually haven't seen this, so I've got to check it out. It says, and if you haven't seen Angry Red Planet, you should check it out. That was a woman in space a year before Star Trek. How dare they? Yeah, because Star Trek is like known for being so like progressive, right?
He said that the annoying Kung Fu Kid is in it.
Is it?
The soundtrack slaps. Yeah, we were talking about the soundtrack as well, Michael. Like,
I think it's interesting how people remember the soundtrack for things.
We were saying that a good soundtrack can definitely be like stuck in your mind.
Now, who was the Kung Fu Kid? Was it Ernie Reyes?
Wasn't it? Yeah, who's the Kung Fu Kid?
Like, I don't know who that is here. I don't know. All right, we're gonna do the countdown. This is Barbarella. You can't compare the sword movies to Conan. Yeah, you're right. Like the Conan the Barbarian is like its own in its own stratosphere. But Barbarella was a movie with Jane Fonda that was almost like I think it may have been a spoof movie. But that was way earlier. And that was 1968. Thank you, Michael McSilvers.
Thank you, Michael.
Michael, you're like, did you ever know that you're my hero? All right, I'll pull this up.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael. All right, so this is thank you guys. That's right. Goal. Status achieved due to Michael McSilvers. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
All right, so Barbarella is from 1968, and like totally like hilarious visuals here. But this is Jane Fonda, and there's been talks of Sydney Sweeney being in another Barbarella like reboot, which is why you see like the comparisons to the two. But Barbarella was, I've got to watch this as well because I haven't seen this, but it's just totally like 60s energy.
Euphoria, I guess.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, like wild.
Yeah.
Super cool, like these bikini things.
Like the big hair.
But Barbarella, Queen of the Galaxy. I mean, it's kind of, there's something like fantastically like flamboyant about these types of movies, you know?
Yeah.
That make them, you know, charming.
I can see why. Like even not only on this.
She's such a naughty girl. She breaks death by orgasm machine.
Not only on this genre, but
true.
In film in general, like at this time there was
in
something.
Space. I think there's something kind of, because this was in a way it wasn't like your full on B movie. This was like Barbarella was had a huge, you know, actress in it, but it was a French Italian science fiction cult classic directed by Roger Vadim. and starring Jane Fonda as a titular space traveler. Set in the 41st century, the plot follows a highly sensual United Earth astronaut tasked by the president of Earth, because the Earth has one president now, with finding Dr. Duran Duran. The rogue scientist has invented the positronic ray, a deadly weapon capable of destroying peace across the galaxy. So kind of a very goofy kind of plot, because it's like the ray itself will destroy peace. So while exploring the uncharted planet Lithian, Barbarella crash lands near Sogo, a city built on a living lake called the Mathmos that feeds off sin. The movie is famous for its kitschy, camp aesthetic, over-the-top 1960s pop art set designs, and highly unusual concepts. These include an attack by carnivorous dolls, a machine meant to kill targets with intense sexual pleasure, which Barbarella accidentally overloads. That's what Michael McSilvers is talking about. There's an evil lesbian queen, like Red Sonja. That's hilarious. Isn't it hilarious that there's like it kills you with intense sexual pleasure, which Barbarella overloads.
I love it. It's
on a giant hookah that dispenses the essence of man. So, legacy and upcoming remakes. Although initial reviews were mixed due to its bizarre tonal mix and satire and science fiction, Barbarella pioneered comic book adaptations as the first feature film to adapt a comic book hero rather than a daily newspaper or serial. The film also heavily influenced pop culture, famously inspiring the name of the 1980s pop band Duran Duran, because Duran Duran was in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I was wondering, because I think that's what the name of the death ray was called. No, it was Dr. Duran Duran was the president. She's tasked with finding Dr. Duran Duran from the president of Earth. So that's where the band in the 1980s got their name, was from this 1968 film.
Wow.
As of mid-2024, a new remake project was announced with director Edgar Wright attached to direct and Sydney Sweeney set to star and executive produce. There you go. So there's an upcoming remake, but who knows if it's going to end up getting made, because just so you know, so many movies you can work on a movie and it never gets made because for so many different reasons, because movies are just so expensive. It says, I make new gay watch lists as movie to understand our culture. I make new gay watches. Oh, the new gays watch this movie to understand our culture. Absolutely. I love it.
It sounds like a really fun watch.
Yeah.
But
it sounds like a lot of fun.
I mean, we were saying that movies should take themselves seriously, but I do think.
Well, and this is not dark fantasy. It may have elements that are kind of like that.
But now listening to this, it's like, well, if movies are gonna make, if movies are gonna be fun, because they also want to be like, they also want to acknowledge that they can be, then they shouldn't ridicule themselves. And I think this movie sounds like a very fun movie, but at the same time, that it takes itself seriously in that sense. So I think that's kind of what we should be trying to make in general.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think filmmaking, it's so hard to make a film, just in general. Yeah. It's like, it needs to be fun. He says the dolls are dark. He says, and the planet is evil that she lands on. So there you go, Barbarella. We can end on that.
Yeah.
Thank you, Michael McSilvers, for helping us reach our goal.
Thank you, Michael.
And my phone is dead, so I would put one more super chat goal, but my phone's dead, so I can't do it. Thank you guys so much for being here. We appreciate you so much. Well, we covered a lot of movies. I hope you learned some movies today.
I mean,
and
I did.
Right before we went live, my previous mic stand fell apart. Even Mario's like, "What the heck?" I'm like, "I know, the universe just tests you." In that way. So thank you, Michael McSilvers. It says, can you change your membership badges to something more custom to your channel? David Young, yeah. What do you think? We're going to cover lots of different topics. I think we're starting with, it says, and Brent, your phone, charge your phone in case and Jimmy needs to get hold of you. Okay. Of course, you got it, David Young. Absolutely. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you. Don't forget to like the video. If you're watching, don't forget to hit the like button. I'll watch the entire video and I'll forget. It's the easiest thing to do is to forget to like.
Click it now, guys.
Yeah. Thank you guys. You guys don't forget to subscribe. Thank you, Michael McSilvers, for being our executive producer today.
Yes. Thank you so much.
We appreciate you so much.
Mark Sands, if you're still there.
Yes.
Thank you.
And Mark Sands, thank you so much. Seriously. You just helped us out a ton. Thank you guys so much.
Oh, wow.
Y'all have a lovely evening.
Thank you. Wow.
I haven't even seen it. Oh my gosh. She's like, yes, Michael McSilvers.
Wow.
Thank you for
Thank you,
for
Michael.
recommending Barbarella. I'm
No,
telling you.
I will watch it. Like,
Yeah, like I love
it sounds
that.
like a lot of fun.
Mhm.
So thank you so much, Michael.
Yeah, I'm like, go check out
Really.
Kroll and go check out Highlander as well. So there's a lot of movies in here. I think it's like there's so much like work goes into these types of movies, and then here's Red Sonja as well.
Michael, if you have any
Yeah, if you have any more recommendations before we go,
any topic ideas for future live streams,
that's right.
you can
Thank
also let us
you.
know. Like what would you like to see on these live streams as well? Like,
And like what's the conversations are for you guys? Like what?
yeah, like
Because there are so many things that I think would be like interesting.
yeah.
But at the same time, it says Bobby Barra's here.
Hey, Bobby.
I slept all day. But hello, everyone. Hey, Bobby Barra.
Bobby. Glad you're back in the US, Bobby. I'm guessing you're back.
Yeah, glad you're back. Glad you're alive and well.
But thank you, Bobby, for.
I've been missing Jimmy. I was like, kind of sad because Jimmy's not here, and I love that energy because I'm like, what is Jimmy going to do today? It's so wild.
Yeah.
So Bobby, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Bobby.
You guys and Bobby, this channel's monetized now. So if you'd like to leave a super chat, now's the time.
That's the.
You want to do a Dune? We could do it like, listen, these movies, like for example, I didn't mean to go on a tangent at the beginning for Return to Oz, but it's such a big film. It's with we started from 1985's Return to Oz, which is the Dorothy goes back to Oz after they try to give her electroshock therapy.
Mm-hmm.
You're back from baguette country, so you were in France.
Yeah.
Every time I hear the word baguette, I think of the Beauty and the Beast.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, Marie, baguettes, hurry up. She goes, there goes the baker with his tray, like always.
Yeah.
The same old bread and rolls to sell. Yeah. Tank Girl. Oh, do you know? I know her. I know the actress from Tank Girl. Mm-hmm. Her name is escaping me right now, but there's like a picture of me and her. It was a box office bomb, but it's like a movie to be explored.
Mm-hmm.
She was also in Lori Petty.
Mm-hmm.
So Lori Petty is 62 now, but she was in Free Willy. She was in Point Break.
Mm-hmm.
She's such an interesting actress. But she was in Tank Girl. And then she was also in a movie called In the Army Now. She was in Cadillac Man, Route 666.
Mm-hmm.
She was also in Netflix's first really big original series, Orange is the New Black. Have you heard of that show?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen it, I really recommend Orange is the New Black. Lori Petty really is amazing. I'll pull her up. Let me see if I can find my picture. Let's see if this can get a super chat.
Bobby said, "How about looking at foreign films? They do a lot with a lot less technology."
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we can look into them.
Mm-hmm.
We were gonna cover Pan's Labyrinth, which also falls under the category of dark fantasy, but we can do a part 2 if you guys would be interested in that.
Yeah, let us know if you wanted to do a part 2. I was trying to find a picture of me and her, but I guess it's not on the internet. I have to find it on my phone. But I've got a picture with me and Lori Petty. She hangs out in Venice. That's where she lives. And she used to walk around and like literally when I was homeless in Venice, she used to walk around and like she'd pick up furniture off the street. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm taking furniture back to my house. And she would like take pictures of it. In the early days of Instagram, she would upload pictures of her furniture she would just find on the street. And this is Venice had already gotten crazy expensive at this point. Agree. AG Play, I'm so glad you're here. If you guys are new here, let us know too, because I think the reason why we do these live too is because people can be like, oh no, you got to cover this, or like Michael McSilver's like mention Barbarella or Red Sonja or Krull. These movies that like they enter our minds and we learn about them as well.
Yeah. That's why we value your input as well, guys.
Yeah. And Mario, it's like, he knows all like the high art, but sometimes you got to look at the B movies because sometimes the concepts can actually even be deeper in a B movie. It's just that maybe the execution wasn't like so prestige, but the B movies actually typically have a concepts. If you really look under the surface, look under the hood. It says also, I can't complain, John Scott, about Las Vegas. It's been like it's his fault. Yeah. So it says, yes, I was able to watch every movie after I did my homework, says AJ back in the day. because you said that your dad worked the projector in a theater.
Wow.
That's such a great like family lore, like
Yeah.
for your dad to like work the projector. In these movies, people don't realize how expensive celluloid is.
That's like every filmmaker's dream childhood.
I think so, right? Like even in Pearl, like remember how Pearl, like she's dating this guy who she kills in the movies, but the Pearl from the Maxine trilogy, Pearl like kills the guy who works in the projector room.
Yeah.
But and John Scott, I like your idea of I think I have stuff like student, like I should look at it. But David Young, let me know like what the badges should be, because it helps me to understand like what would be good. Like should it be like production assistant, like line producer, like director? Maybe that'd be better badges. I don't know. All right. It says Brent also has good taste in cinema. Thank you. Michael's always like, let me make sure let Brent know I like his taste as well. I appreciate you so much. For example, Land of Mine, Center of the World, both German films, Close has two adolescent Belgian boys grow apart as they get older. Bobby Barra, we will check those out.
Yeah.
Land of Mine, Center of My World, and Close. I think a lot of these foreign films too explore.
I love Close.
Yeah, so you know that film?
Close is really good. Yeah.
And it's German?
Belgian and French. Yeah.
Okay, so here I'll pull it up and we can end on this. If you guys want to leave one more super chat for us, that would be amazing. And I'm going to put this on screen. So Bobby Barra, this is for you.
Yes, Bobby. Nice recommendations as well. We've been getting a lot of good recommendations. So
yeah.
Thank you guys.
All right, so here's Close.
Yeah,
so
like
two 13-year-old boys, Leo and Remy, spend their pre-adolescence sharing moments of play and reflection. Their arrival in high school causes their new classmates to begin to suspect that theirs is not just a friendship, but a romantic relationship. I feel like this is something that probably like wouldn't be explored like in an American film, because this is like a French film. And I feel like, thank you, Bobby Barra.
Thank you, Bobby.
So this is a film I think that definitely is like these kind of films need to be made, but they're hard on this side of the pond because it's like they're kind of inherently controversial with American audiences.
This isn't explicit, so it's not that like.
Well, I'm just saying like it's even if it's not, it's more. Right. It's like it's like they project onto it that it's controversial when it's not. You know what I mean? It's like Barbarella is like fun and playful, but there are some people who are like, this is scandalous. Right. And people are like clutching their pearls. Thank you, Bobby Barra. Thank you again.
Thank you, Bobby. I love that expression.
Yeah, but like the pearl clutching. Yeah. Society rejects male platonic love. Yeah, they really do. I mean, I think one of the only exceptions is like the buddy cop movie. And even then there's usually like some moment in there where it's like, hey, like no homo type of thing.
Yeah.
Like in almost every buddy cop movie. Even Jimmy Red, for a movie that was like a buddy cop, but a buddy film between an older, not older, but older than Jimmy and Jimmy. And there's a scene that plays off of that.
Yeah.
You know, where they're kind of talking about each other's junk and it's kind of like goofy. But it kind of plays off of like our, sensitivity in American culture. All right. Well, it's 9 o'clock. So we're going to go to bed, guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you, Bobby.
We appreciate you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Young Hearts is a happier story. Young Hearts. Okay, well now I'm just going to put this.
I think that's a series.
Young Hearts. There's a 2024 movie.
Oh. Okay.
I think this is what he's talking about because it looks a bit like that. So Young Hearts. So there you go. So Corazones Jóvenes. So, but they're Flemish, so they're like from Belgium, right? So Elias, 14, resides in a Flemish village when Alexander, also 14, moves across the street from Brussels. Elias has experienced his first feelings of love.
Yeah.
See, this is another movie, that it feels like it would not get made.
This is more on explicit this side. In that way, like not overly explicit.
Yeah. But I mean, these are really interesting topics. I think this is like the most fascinating age, which I think is why people love seeing Jimmy. But again, it's like this side of the pond. I mean, everything gets distorted, on this side of the pond. I'm chill. I want us to explore all these different topics.
Yeah,
I think it's great. But
Yeah.
It says, I lived in Belgium and the society is more open and accepting. Bobby Barra, yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think this is Belgian Dutch. Yeah, this is a Belgian Dutch film.
Yeah. I also watched them.
LOL, the live might not end for a while. Brent is too much into the movie topics right now. Right. All right. Well, thank you guys for watching. We are going to go to bed. Bye, guys. Thank you. If you want to leave one more super chat, go for it. Now's the time. You guys don't forget to like the video. Yes, don't forget to subscribe. Okay. Subscribe.
If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe because otherwise you will miss it.
Yeah, that's right. And you're right. Flemish is a dialect of Dutch. Every time I see Flemish, I'm having to like remind myself that it's like a region. It's like on the border, right? Dutch and there's like whole videos breaking down what Flemish actually is. All right. Yes, we're going to get our snacks before we go to bed. Thank you, David Young. I appreciate that. David. And David Young, if you have ideas for the badges, let me know.
Yeah.
Because David Young, you're making a good point. Like, what would be a good badge?
Thank you for
before I change my mind, maybe as well. Yeah.
Thank you for the clutch, Michael.
Northern Belgium is Flemish. Was he clutching his pearls?
He sent clutch. I think he...
Oh, okay. I can't see it. My phone died.
Yeah, but we... Thank you.
Nothing here. Just a break.
He may be making a reference to the clutching of pearls.
The clutching of the pearls.
That's funny.
Yeah, if you guys want to leave stickers, you can leave stickers. And it also signals to YouTube too to like help our channel grow, and it suggests it more to people that are into these topics. And sometimes I'm like, oh, like what should we, like we were originally going to talk about like the digital isolation, crisis. Yeah. But I was like, this is more inherently like fun. And we can also have some tangible things to point to versus like just graphs and like falling birth rates, this is more interesting, although that's not a bad topic, but I think maybe I would plan that like 24 hours in advance. And that way people could be like, okay, they could discover it and then like activate the bell. Yeah. Whereas this, you can kind of just jump in and like, we've moved on to another movie, let's say.
But that's why we also appreciate your guys, like let us know what would you like to
and hype the video
to see.
You can hype the video. The other video I decided not to hide it, so like the video yesterday, not hide it but like put it behind the paywall. So there's a video from yesterday.
Yes,
but here's my original list. So the golden age of practical magic was the Dark Crystal, Labyrinth, the Black Cauldron, Legend, Return to Oz, The Neverending Story, Excalibur, Conan the Barbarian, Krull, Willow, Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is a Bray Bradbury book, and a movie, Dragon Slayer, Lady Hawk, Highlander, Clash of the Titans from 1981, The Company of Wolves from 1984, The Watcher in the Woods from 1980, Beastmaster from 1982, Red Sonja was actually on my list, number 19, from 1985, and Time Bandits from 1981. So Red Sonja is squarely in the dark fantasy. So Michael McSilvers, you're on the money with Krull and with Red Sonja, and then Time Bandits. And then there are more modern ones, which are usually, they fall under like literally Guillermo del Toro or Tim Burton, which is Pan's Labyrinth, The Shape of Water, Kronos, The Devil's Backbone, Crimson Peak, Hellboy 2, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, Edward Scissorhands, Sleepy Hollow, Corpse Bride, Nightmare Before Christmas, Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street, Frankenweenie, Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, and Alice in Wonderland. Isn't that wild? Those are all Guillermo del Toro or Tim Burton in some way. Like that's just, it shows you how prolific they are
and
in those topics.
How recognizable their style is as well.
Absolutely. So those are the more like modern-esque ones.
But Bobby, that's another good one, Bobby. Yeah.
Which one did you mention?
Y tu mamá también.
Right.
But that's more, that's more drama. That's more
and like coming of age and
coming of age. Yeah. But that's a good one. Yes, Bobby.
And I have like a whole list of like animated nightmare films that kind of like Coraline 9, The Secret of Nim. The Secret of Nim, it deserves its own video because NIM actually stands for National Institute for Mental Health. Like Nim was like a fantasy creature, but it was like a hidden metaphor in there. Okay. Really fascinating. Really, Brent, look up Before I Change My Mind and Save It. Look up Before I Change My Mind and Save It. Before I Change My Mind, that's the name of it?
I think so. Yes, Michael.
He says, yes. All right, I love his yeses.
Yeah, no, it's funny. Yeah.
All right, here it is. Here's Before I Change My Mind. All right, so Before I Change My Mind in 1987. Thank you, Michael McSilvers. Another student wonders in other students wonder if new kid Robin is a boy or a girl, as Robin forges a complicated bond with school bully and makes with the school bully and makes increasingly dangerous choices to fit in. Ooh, this is interesting. This is a Canadian coming of age drama. Before I change my mind.
I thought that was Kristen Dunst, that girl Allison.
Oh, really?
Like, because I'm saying it like.
So it's a boy though, right?
Smaller.
Vaughn Murray. Yeah, Vaughn. So it's a Canadian actor and model, known for playing non-binary characters. Fascinating. Before I change my mind, okay, I'm gonna watch these films, guys. This is on my list.
For your Rex.
Yeah.
And
what is it?
Michael.
Thank you. I saw the movie, and to this day, I still don't know if it was a boy or a girl. Does anybody know? I love how Gizmo's like, for real though, like, tell me. It sounds like the idea of bonding with a bully, like I've done that. So I totally get that idea, because the bully is like equally, if not more, traumatized than the person being bullied. Not to say that the bully is justified in any way, shape, or form, but it makes sense. Thank you, Bobby Barra.
Thank you, Bobby.
It says, if you love the Argentine accent, Sublime is a good film. I love that accent.
I haven't seen that one, but
I think this is also highlighting that there's like no shortage of like great films.
Right.
But it's like,
Thank
you
God.
know, yeah. It says he was a boy, says John Scott. So here's Sublime. In a small coastal town, 16-year-old Manuel plays in a band with his best friends and shares an unbreakable bond with Felipe, who he's known since childhood. Manuel is also dating Azul, but he begins to feel something unexpected when it comes to their first time together, and it makes him see things in a brand new light and tests his relationship. This kind of reminds me of, oh gosh, what is this kind of reminding me of? Is this reminding you of anything? There's like this, maybe it's the whole aspect of Call Me by Your Name.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But there's also something else this is kind of reminding me of. But I listen, thank you guys for recommending international films.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, so this is an Argentinian film. So from 2022. I'll check it out, from Mariano Biasin. Good to know.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bobby Barra, for the recommendation. It's pronounced Sublime.
Sublime. I think it's Sublime.
Sublime. Because if it's Spanish, right? Sublime. Sublime. So thank you for that, Bobby Barra.
Thank you, Bobby.
And thank you for sharing your trip with us to France. That's really cool. You got to travel.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been itching to travel. I was today on the treadmill, and I'm always like, in my mind, I'm like, you know, in Angkor Wat, or I'm like in Cambodia, or I'm in Vietnam or something. So, or I'm waiting for Jamie to get back so we can travel. So I'm really excited. Thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank you guys for the movie recommendations. We'll check out Sublime. We'll check out Before I Change My Mind, and we'll check out the other ones. What was the other one?
Young Hearts was one.
Yeah, there's several up in here.
Yeah, but we have.
And we'll check out Red Sonja too. Yeah, we have the record.
List, yeah.
Before I Change My Mind. All right, thank you guys.
Thank you guys.
Mwah. We love you guys. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys.
Have a good night, guys. Thank you for your super chats. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you, guys.
Like now if you haven't already.
Yeah, that's right. Like now. It says you need to do a URL trip. Yeah, we need to, where we ride the European rails and go around Europe. I would love that. Bobby Barra, great idea.
Thank you, Bobby.
Machuca film. Machuca. Last one for a super chat. All right, so it's a 2004 film, Machuca. So, all right, let's see. All right, Machuca. Have you heard of this? This is is in Spanish English. September 1973, military coup in Chile is seen through the eyes of a sensitive 11-year-old boy from a rich family and his friend from the shanty town. Shanty town meaning like a poor part of town, Machuca.
No, I haven't heard of this one.
Mein Freund, so it's like my friend. So I guess they did a lot of international marketing. It's interesting because it's like these films, like they've got an audience, and I think this age range is so hard to capture on film that whenever they are able to do it, it's very fascinating for sure.
Yeah.
This is interesting. Well, Machuca, you guys will check this out. Thank you for the recommendations.
Thank you, guys.
These are definitely like coming of age films that are like international and exploring different themes of like relationships, like young love, those types of things. Very interesting stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
David Young. Yeah, you're right about that. Jimmy would be like, he'd already been up and out of here. He's like, not that he's not interested, but it's hard for, I think, someone at that age to pay attention for that long. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, AG.
We appreciate you guys.
AJ,
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Hi, guys.
It will make you cry. AG Play. We'll check it out. Become a member, AG Play. Don't forget to subscribe.
Yes. Now you can become a member here. So,
yeah. Good night, guys. We love you guys. Thank you so much, everybody. Michael McSilvers.
Thank you.
Bobby Ibarra.
Thanks, y'all.
Mark Sands. Thank you guys so much. We'll watch Machuca. Listen, I love movies that make you cry. Like,
yeah.
I think it's so cathartic to cry through film. So that way you're not crying about your own life, but you can kind of project your sorrows, whatever it is that you're concerned about, onto the film. And it allows you to cry. I watched Finding Neverland last night and I cried, you know, because at the end it was just so magical and beautiful. Gracias, Bobby Barra.
Good night, Bobby.
Buenas noches. Adios. Buon noite. Yeah. Buon noite. Bye, guys.
Bye.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye. Who's still in the World Cup, by the way?
Spain, France, England, Argentina.
Is the U.S. got knocked out?
Yeah.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay.
I'm not remembering the rest.
I saw there was games going on when I was at the gym, so I was just curious.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.